Yeah. Yeah. I know they mad for no reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Gotta move fast for a reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Oh, 700K, I'm selling a Bitcoin. Haters mad, but they listen to this one. More profit coming to my direction. You know me, I don't need a mention. I got the remedy, ooh, yeah. They don't just follow me, ooh, yeah. You say allegedly, ooh, yeah. You would subscribe to me, ooh, yeah. Staring at chart, drawing a line. Make a decision, you out of time. Huddling, huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. See on stage. OnChain Revolution. Guns. Boom. OnChain. Hey, OnChain revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recap, then I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, changing. Yeah, send it to the deck. Yeah, sell it through the stack. Order knows the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to read. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge. Look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What's up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live from the OnChain Hour, and today's show is going to be amazing, guys. We have Bitcoin hanging around 121. It just got above it. A little bit below it now, but it is looking to push up. We are looking for momentum today. We are looking to see the other coins kind of start moving as well, which they are not. I'm seeing a lot of mixed stuff here, though. You are seeing stuff like BNB really push up above that 1138. You're seeing Dog up again today, which is really good to see. Aster back to 190. Bitcoin dominance does look like it's in the green, but not by much. Stock market looking really good. You have the Dow Jones up, the S&P and the Nasdaq all green today. Even gold is green, so it is looking like we should see some green. It is Friday. We all know what happens on Fridays. Fridays are usually like we get this push up going into around 11, 12 o'clock, and then we usually kind of come crumbling down later, but it doesn't look like that's happening. It might be the actual opposite, to where maybe we get bullish towards the end of the day, and then maybe that'll go into the weekend. Normally, what we've seen in the past 6-7 weekends is, very boring Saturday, pretty much down, and then Sunday you see down in the morning, and then resurgence going into Sunday night, especially like we saw last week. So we are looking to kind of see that again. I'm kind of hoping to have some resurgence on Sunday afternoon, pushing up into Monday. We do know that this week, we had a lot of conferences. They're coming to an end, and Bitcoin doesn't like to move during conferences. It actually is very negative, but Bitcoin's been strong during the last two, which was a Korean blockchain week and the coin one over there as well, token, whatever it is. I can't remember the numbers, but that is over now. So and we are hearing that it was very bullish in the sense of people are really looking into stuff over there. We got our guys Merlin on. They're out there and they basically grinded through that. So good for them. But they were at Korean Blockchain Week and also Token 2049. So definitely bullish there. Really excited to get today started. We're going to dig into some really good tips for you guys to pretty much find the 100Xs. There's going to be 100Xs this cycle. There's going to be 1,000Xs this cycle. And we're going to help you guys find them. So without further ado, let's get the show started. Bring in my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
Yes. How's everything going? What's going on with you? And how do you feel about today? I mean, we are seeing 121, but nothing else really running.
Yeah, look, this is the expectation was for Bitcoin to lead the charge, and it is absolutely doing that. I feel very great about hitting that 121. Sure, it might come back down maybe the second part of today, but I'm okay with it because the trajectory has switched over in perfect timing, right? So let's say next week we had like Bitcoin bomb down to 113. That would be very abnormal. I think that would be very weird. It'd be, something that no one would really expect at this kind of time phase that we're going through right now. The beginning of October. This is when people are thinking that things are going to get more bullish. And so we are getting that from Bitcoin, and it's leading the way, and I expect more. Probably a chill kind of weekend though, but maybe we pick up back up Sunday evening, but I do expect big numbers from Bitcoin next week.
You say big numbers. Kind of get into that a little bit. What are you thinking exactly for next week?
I think we attempt to test the all-time high of 124, right? Possibly hit that 125, 126. And I just think that it's time for that right now, right? Everybody's been waiting for this moment to kick things off. We are officially in Q4. Everybody's expecting another rate cut. I think that's going to play into the price action as well. And the king needs to do its thing before other tokens can really start to thrive, right? So profit has to start being made in Bitcoin and then start to trickle down. And I'm really excited about the possibility of like ordinals benefiting from that, maybe some runes as well, but also the other parts of the crypto space that are going to get really lively, because some of these other parts like Sui and Solana, we know for sure, they do have that quick energy to be able to thrust up in a short period of time. But we could be in an environment very soon to where you look left, you look right, you look straight, you look back, and multiple ecosystems are winning, and that's what we need.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with you too. I do think next week we potentially could see 125, 126, even 130. I think, we had X on the show on Tuesday for the Artura thing, and he was saying how, when you're doing options, the first day of Q4 is actually the 6th, which is the first Monday. And I'm kind of thinking he's right there. I do think that, we have some upward momentum these last couple of days in October, but I do think the real push up will start October 6th, and that is Monday. So I'm really looking forward to Monday, Tuesday. I think it'll be very bullish in the sense of, price action, but we also need to see more things coming live. Do you think we're going to see more news events starting next week as well?
We've been seeing a lot of news events, actually. If you think about it, if you break it down, I would say the past couple months in terms of an institutional level or headline, but we haven't seen a lot of rollout within kind of the deeper areas of the crypto space, the Web3 natives that, don't necessarily look for everyday huge institutional headlines, but more for, hey, what is this project building? When are they going to roll out so we can start using this or people can take advantage of it? And so I think that kind of stuff starts to happen now because a lot of builders, they've been saving what they have for a rollout. I saw Bunzi yesterday on the timeline talking about how, him and Hath have been building this entire time, but they wanted to roll this out in a perfect time, a timely manner in terms of when things get bullish. And he says, people are going to be, super surprised and excited of what they have. So I think there's multiple teams that have that mindset. There are some teams that just have rolled things out and just continually do that and build that way. And whether you like it or not, when people hold things back, sometimes it makes a lot of sense. And so I do suspect that we get a good amount of that.
Yeah, 100%. And like number go up brings a lot of people back. A lot of people to kind of come in and actually use dApps, because that's one thing we're kind of not seeing. We're not seeing a lot of people come in and actually use the dApps again. I think that'll be something big once you're seeing more of this gamified stuff come online and people actually coming in and start playing it. So yeah, really excited to kind of get into some bullish momentum, not in the sense of price action. I mean, that's always a plus, but I just want to see people come back. I want to see people get excited again about innovation, and that's kind of what crypto is. But let's jump into some our main topic here, which is secret 100x tool for Q4, winning strategies to spot the year's biggest crypto gems. So if I was going to ask you, what some of the tools that you would use in the sense of finding 100x, where's the best places and what to use in these to get these scenarios?
So I think there's a couple different approach is to kind of wrap up a strategy for each person. And I'm going to speak for myself because I know you probably have some different aspects of your strategy. So for me, I think Marian talks about having a good alpha group. I think that's important. You know, a trusted group, you get to learn about these people the more time you spend with them. So I think establishing that group, that base foundation is very important. That should probably have been done earlier this year, but you can still, you know, try to form that group. And you really are in there to help each other. You know, you don't have a huge KOL or anything in there that's trying to dump on the rest of the group. You try to find really solid people in there. So I think that's a good start. And then you use kind of like what you've been doing, using CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, right? You can, I don't typically use the categories, but I think that's a good idea, and I'll let you hit on that part. But also learning to use the most advanced tools, right? And I think that these agentic products like Agent Hustle, Merlin, the Wizard 2.0 are going to be very useful coming up, especially when they start to add the other tech stacks so they can do cross-chain stuff. I'm hoping that kind of gets shored up here in the next 2 weeks, because you want that to be available before, in my opinion, like the beginning of November, right? So right now, Hustle can find stuff on Solana for you. And I do know that the EVM tech stack has been talked about, but if they integrate that, then you can start searching on other chains, possibly BNB, you know, Abstract, possibly Arbitrum, whatever base, whatever they plan to integrate in there. And I think that's going to be huge, because now you're using the same tool sets that Hustle offers from Solana that people have had a ton of success with, but you're doing it across chain. So I think once that is available, that's going to be a huge help and give people an edge. Yeah, so the alpha groups, you know, utilizing just kind of basic knowledge of CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap, and then these agentic tools as well. I think you got to be very careful with some of the areas in Solana whenever you're getting into some of these groups, because Solana is very cutthroat. But the good thing about Hustle is, I mean, they started an academy and stuff. You're going to be with that team later. So I definitely recommend, if you're in the audience right now, catch that live stream with Shizzy in the academy later at 3 p.m. Eastern, because I think that's going to be very educational.
Yeah, 100%. And to your point, you know, using the tools that are available, using stuff like Agent Hustle, using stuff like the Merlin, the beta.wizard.tech, and kind of, you know, using your own knowledge, but like getting some help. Going into these things and asking it, hey, you know, like I found this coin earlier. I was like, what's coin 559 and stuff like that. And it gave me some basic information. You can kind of go over here and just kind of like you said, what I like to do, they go to categories, right? This is my favorite tool, CoinGecko. It seems so obvious, right? But a lot of people don't use it the way that I use it. For me, I like to see every single day I come here. And if you do this every single day, you really get an idea of like what's happening, right? And I use it both ways. I use it to see kind of what's hot, and I see it to see what's not. And obviously, layer 0 is something that people aren't really looking at. What is layer 0? Well, you go into it, you get Polkadot, you get Internet Computer, you get Cosmos, layer 0, you know, and all these other ones as well, right? But then, you know, maybe this stuff does well later, right? Just because it's down today doesn't mean it's not a good investment in the long term, right? So that's kind of what it is. It's like maybe getting into the tokens of the Binance Alpha Spotlight, maybe they've already ran already. So getting something that maybe runs next week could be someone if you're trading or just want to get in early and stuff like that. And then just going into saying stuff like healthcare, for instance, right? I had no idea what healthcare was, but if you go in healthcare and you kind of see what the biggest run-ups are, look at this coin. It's 4705. And it's $740,000 market cap. It is up big today. And you just kind of go in and you go to the website. They always have websites and Twitter accounts here. It looks like it's Twitter account. And you kind of go in and you can kind of study like what's going on. The first blockchain solution, and they usually have the website here. And yeah, and it looks like it's in German. So this is an investment that I would get into, right? So this is how I basically do my research, though. I just went through the entire process with you, and then I'll just take this off my list and keep it moving, right? And then you kind of go back into the categories part of it, and then you kind of just look for the next one and the next one. And then you can take that information that you learned from that, pop it into something like Agent Hustle or the Wizard, and get even more information, because these things are jam-packed with information. But I mean, these 3 tools alone, CoinGecko, you know, Agent Hustle and MerlinChain, I think will be 3 key tools be finding 100x opportunities.
Yeah, and those tools are only going to get better, right? And so once again, you probably want to stick a little bit more towards the Solana coins with Hustle right now, but once they add the EVM tech stack, that's going to open back up, right? So, if there's a interesting project that you see in the Solana ecosystem, Hustle's going to know everything about it. When I use Hustle to bring back 2 to 5x safe plays, he's bringing back about 3 to 5 options, and obviously he'll rank them in terms of strength to the weakest ones, but he'll give you reasons why. He'll talk about consistent volume. He'll talk about the top percentage wallet holders and how that could be dangerous or it could be safer, right? Depending on the distribution levels and stuff like that. But if you're not using these type of tools, you're going to be behind. And I can't wait to kind of review that stream that you're going to be on later today, because I think there's going to be a lot of insight with it. And people aren't looking at these tools yet because they feel like, oh, well, it might be too early and things like, no, you want to be early. You want to know how to use Hustle right now to like the back of your hand. So once, the new features get added, the other environments get added, then you can just quickly, say, hey, what's tokens the hottest today? Hustle looks at those analytics. There's also a social aspect that he dives into. What's the most talked about Solana coin on X? He will bring that to you, so you can use all these different dynamics, and that's how you're going to find those 50, 20, 50, 100x tokens, in my opinion, for Q4.
Yeah, 100%. And to your point, like, they have tools down here, right, where you can turn things on, turn things off. This is kind of what I'm kind of looking forward to, the kind of talking to the guys from the academy and kind of seeing what they're using, right? Like this, I just clicked Alpha, and it's a partnership with Circle announced for stablecoin payment infrastructure, TGE style stuff. So there's a bunch of different stuff you can do with Hustle that a lot of people don't really know how to use yet. That's just kind of what I'm breaking down. But if you go through this on a daily basis and kind of really kind of push this on yourself, kind of force yourself to learn AI with crypto at the same time, I mean, you're going to win. You're definitely going to win in those scenarios for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move along here. So NODESTR, we talked about it a little yesterday, but it's official. They finished their raise, 41.5 Bitcoin, around $5 million to create NodeMonkes treasury. 7.05 Bitcoin will be used for liquidity. So that's pretty big, right? We're talking about $700,000 will be used for liquidity on RadFi, and 26.97 Bitcoin will be used to buy NodeMonkes. We do know that they're going to buy them strategically. They're not just going to go into the market and just buy a ton, but they will buy a couple off the floor, wait for some more to get put on the floor and keep buying. So, node strategy is something that is awesome, in my opinion, because it is helping the ordinals. You are seeing NodeMonkes right now really fly up in price. You're talking about $7,600 and stuff like that. So, and then if you go to the volume, they're obviously on top, with Runestones actually coming in now up 29%. Will we see a Runestone strategy eventually? I don't know about that, but what do you think, though, potentially about some of these other ones? We do hear there's some rumors of some stuff potentially doing the same.
Yeah, so Based Angels official team came out. So this is an announcement. This is alpha for you guys if you missed it on the timeline, but their official team came out and said they're going to do a raise. It says Base Strategy right here, incoming, officially backed by the Based Angels team. So that's big, because that's saying that the actual team that launched the Ordinals collection is doing this. It says the higher flywheel machine is gearing up for liftoff. Tokenomics will be announced very soon. So are they going to take the raise approach? I believe they will, because it is the team that's doing it, but that doesn't mean that they're going to do the Dutch auction for it. Maybe they do. Who knows? The Dutch auction seems to work pretty well. But they could also do just a kind of another, almost kind of a mint style situation as well, just to kind of use those proceeds as well, and then airdrop everybody according to how many mints that you had in that mint, right? So it's going to be interesting, but this is cool, because this is the second one that's actually, I know Node Strategy wasn't an official team because NodeMonkes don't have an official team, but it was really the hardcore community that got behind it, and it's the same technology they use for the Dutch auction. So I can kind of say that was the unofficial team that did that. This is like the second version of that. So and Base Angels ran pretty hard, if you remember, whenever it was hot. So this could be a good opportunity. So
yeah, 100%. And like, it's only a matter of time before, I do think that as like maybe ZK comes in and he does something like that. Because think about how that works. You're basically just raising money to buy the asset, right? You're raising money to buy the asset, and then you're giving everyone a piece of that asset. What does that do? Well, again, we talked about it yesterday a little bit, but that allows people who maybe don't have, the money to get into these assets, to get them exposure, or like maybe you just want like liquidity, because we do know that like NodeMonkes and a lot of other ones you have to list and you have to wait for someone to buy it. But with a liquidity pool, you're able to just sell it when you want. You're able to buy it when you want, right? And a little bit as DCA into it, or if you have like 10 NodeMonkes, it's harder to sell. But if you have, let's just say, 1 million of Node strategy tokens, that's easy to get in, it's easy to get out. People love liquidity, and that's another really plus about these ways to get exposure on the asset. But you are giving away trust. Do you think that's a big deal? Do you think trusting these teams to actually do what they're saying to do is a bigger deal than just owning the asset alone?
No, because I think there was trust with the Apes, Bored Ape Yacht Club, with their company and treasury that they had. However they got that, I don't know, but they obviously had millions of dollars in that, right? So I think trust matters whenever you're in obviously a shady project, but like you're probably going to say, like, how do you know if you're in a shady project or not? Well, I think it really depends on who's kind of pushed. Like, for example, you saw Raktoshi kind of say, hey, I like this, so he gives a little bit of the approval there, right? And I think and then also you have Radfi and Scott from Radfi getting excited, saying, hey, we want to be a part of this to kind of help out. And one of the strategies that I've heard of is the guys from Radfi saying, hey, look, if you really want to do a strategy token without a raise and you do it through us, then we can set something up possibly and do like a multi-sig and then give you even a larger percentage of the fee set to actually sweep these collections, right? So if that happens, then I think trust is established more and more. But obviously, there's always going to be a risk factor in this, right? Like most of the space in these kind of situations are still anon, so you got to be careful in that aspect.
Yeah, 100%. The Launchpad ones, I do not trust the Launchpad ones at all, because it's just not enough money there. Like, let's just say this one. Let's just say this one actually got through, right? It would take them a year to be able to buy one Taproot Wizard, right? I mean, with the fees, like earning 20,000, I mean, it might take you multiple years. Now I'm thinking about it, right? So like, even like with the frog strategy or the Billy Cat strategy, right? This one's actually doable.
Well, yeah, so I'm saying, because those are like $20 or something, right?
Yeah.
So maybe for the smaller collections, wow, I didn't even see that. The smaller collections actually kind of make sense if they get the backing of Radfi. So this could be something for like projects that that have a really good community, or like a good energy for their community, but just need that extra push up. Something that's price range between like, that goes from maybe $10 to like $150 or something like that, to where the fees, if you can make like $500 in fees, you're sweeping, a decent couple a day or something like that. You know what I mean? So that could make sense. Also, I think we're going to see truly how this impacts the Radfi and these other kind of a little bit of copycats, right? Does node strategy, once it goes live, does it create this kind of trickle effect? Because the people that get into early to some of these that actually have like socials and say that they're working with Radfi could benefit from that, because there's going to be, and there's another big event for Radfi right now with OML, which is Broke Rat Chronicles, which is interesting. But they're live right now in terms of their mint, and they're going to be putting their token on Radfi. So Radfi is winning right now, in my opinion, with the attention economy of the runes.
We're hearing a lot from Radfi right now. So congratulations, Scott, man. We'd love to get him on the show again to kind of talk about all the success he's had recently. But he's winning right now. Radfi seems to be something that's liked by a lot of people. I mean, Leonidas included, right? Leonidas was one of the first people to come out and say, I love this idea. You still have to deposit in, but I think we're getting to a point now where deposit, and this might happen every bull run, when giving up custody of your assets is okay, and then in the bear run it's like, why did you give up custody of your assets? It's not your keys, not your crypto, and stuff like that. But the argument probably here is still your wallet, but like if someone did have the RAD5 was down, does anyone actually know how to get stuff out, right? That's the thing too. You can say, oh well, it's not really that way, you can recover it. Like, how do I recover it, right? That's maybe the biggest thing for me, and stuff like that. So does that concern you at all, depositing and stuff like that?
Not for, like you said, probably the short period of time. And I know that sounds bad, but I think it's about opportunity, right? And also, what has Scott proven with RadFi? I don't think they've had any exploits. They have been around shorter than Odin, but Odin's had multiple, right? So in the tech approach to this is actually pretty cool, because the way they work is through multi-sigs on everything. That's why you have to have two wallets, because you have a wallet that represents their side of the multi-sig, and then your wallet that you use, and both have to sign. And so it's actually really cool how they do that. But yeah, so to a short answer for that would be, I'm okay with it right now.
Yeah, and I'll have to ask Scott, like, if RadFi ever went down, right? How can I get my coins out? Like, let's say I have no strategy in there. For me, like, if I pull it no strategy, I'm kind of planning on it at this point. More and more I think about it, more and more I want it. Like, I'm taking them to L1. If I'm hodling long term, I'm holding on L1. If I want to sell for liquidity, I'll deposit it back in and wait. But like, for me, I want to hold my stuff where I know that I will have liquidity. I will have it. I'll have my asset, right? Not your keys, not your crypto type of style. But he might say, hey, there is a way to get them out. But let's just say something happened to RadFi. Let's just say we do get this node strategy token that's doing well, and then RadFi goes down for a couple hours. Does that affect the token? Do you think the tokens that are born and running in RadFi?
It does, because we've seen it happen on Odin. But Odin seems to be able to kind of bounce back pretty quickly. But I will say that every time there is some sort of exploit, he takes care of it. But then there's a new winner that's in first. You know what I mean? It's like there will be one that's like substantially like ahead of the rest. Let's say like $60 million market cap.
Yeah.
BitCat or something, exploit happens, it goes down. He fixes it. He always like compensates everybody. But then next thing you know, Crypto Berg is up the number one token a week later once everything's good, and it's at like 80 million, and BitCat has dropped to like 30, right? So it does affect the dynamics, I think, of liquidity flow to different tokens and stuff like that. And so people freak out too, and so they just withdraw or try to sell down as quick as possible. And so you have all those emergency situations. So I'm pretty sure he's working really, really hard to avoid that type of situation.
Yeah, and saying that, right? Do you think it's important for, let's just say, the NodeMonkes strategy to actually do a pull in DotSwap as well? Maybe even do a pull in Solana, just to make sure that these are like tradable. Maybe using something like Rune Mine Bridge to bridging it to Solana, just to have liquidity in multiple places, so this thing is there. Do you think that's important, or do you think just having it all on RadFi and being the most liquid is more important?
I think having it on RadFi and establishing it initially first, and then I would actually go, if Spark is what they say it is, I would go Spark first. Solana could benefit maybe later in November or something, mid to late November. But I say that because I still believe in putting liquidity in different places for assets like Bitcoin assets that aren't moving fast and all those things. But you probably want to do it within the branded kind of Bitcoin ecosystem if you can first, and then expand out further. The reason why I think I was so kind of like, hey, we got to bridge some of these runes over to have liquidity pools, because there was no way to do it on Bitcoin in Bitcoin's ecosystem really, except for Merlin and credit to Jeff. He initially started that, and I feel like they, the Bitcoin ecosystem kind of turned their back on him a bit. It is what it is, and but he came out strong on that, right, with BTC-Fi. But going back to why I think going to Sparks first is better is because the branding is there, and if they can create that, plus it's going to be a hot ecosystem too. But establish here on RadFi first, get that trading going there.
But like, let's just say the Bitcoin ecosystem, I think it's fair to say we have 200,000 holders max. Wouldn't it be smart to kind of get your token in the eyes of, so the Solana, where it's 2 million users, right? I just think that, like, not having a Solana pool for this is closing the door on a lot of people who don't know the Bitcoin ecosystem. Let's just say if the people want exposure, like some of the bigger people in the space, big money wants exposure to this. Wouldn't you want to give them access to it on a network that they're use on a daily basis?
The reason why I say no is because I've experienced the Solana ecosystem, and what the Solana ecosystem is, in my opinion, it is a circle of people that know each other and that know the game that they're running over there, and they don't want anything to do with communities from other ecosystems, because they want to keep winning within their circle, and that's it, in my opinion. Like, I've been over there and I've learned a lot, and I'm not saying that like it wouldn't be an opportunity in the future, but what I am saying is that it's almost kind of like the cool kids group, except like mentality, and they don't want anybody outside of that group to win. They don't want anybody outside of that group to win. And I've witnessed it. I see it. It even goes to content creation too. It's like their kind of group of the way that the winners are winning over there. They don't want to break that, and they will not like risk anything coming in there to give it attention or anything. It's even hard for like new launch pads to get any momentum over there unless there's like huge capital they bring along with it. Because the capital that's over there circulating is that group of people I was telling you about, and they are keeping it within that group and then pocketing whatever they take, wherever they're winning, and then they're trying to keep like the excitement going for their players and stuff.
Yeah, but I feel like we're talking about two separate groups of people. Like, I feel like you're talking about the traders, and I'm talking about the people who hold, Radium, the people who hold the pump token, the people who hold the bigger assets for the long term, like the Jupiter holders and stuff like that. What do you want to give them access? I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the pump fund traders. You're talking about the people who just pump and dump. So I'm talking about the actual investors. Wouldn't you want to give them access to something like NodeStrategy?
They won't buy NodeStrategy because that's too degen for them. That is actually would fit into the pump fund people, except for the pump fund people. You get what I'm saying? So the Radium people that hold Radium, stuff like that, they could be interested in some Bitcoin assets down the road if Liquidium becomes big or stuff like that. But they're not going to be interested in a NodeStrategy token. It would be the pump fund mentality people that would have any interest, but they, like I said, they stay to themselves, and they just want to keep winning within their own circle.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense for sure, because there's a lot of trust vectors in this, and these guys are very safe. The ones who long-term investors buy, and that's it, right? They hold for long periods of time. You're right. All right, moving along though. Good conversation though, for sure. President Trump says he's considering 1,000 to 2,000 stimulus checks for all taxpayers. So the last time we got stimmies was July of 2021. We all know what happened in July of 2021. We had the most insane August ever. A lot of people are saying, it was a stimulus. I think it was more of the zero interest rates, because that's how I benefit. I mean, stimulus was fun. I did put that in the crypto. But at the same time, I think for me was refinancing my home and having, tens of thousands of dollars. But this could really send the crypto markets pushing up, because the markets are forward looking, and looking into something like this could just be like, okay, we got to front run this. Got to front run the normies, and that could really push stuff up as well. So I don't know. How do you feel about potentially using some of the tariff money to give stimulus to the American economy?
I would love it, except for I'm tired of hearing that he's thinking or considering, and it's almost like it's being teased, right? Do it or don't talk about it is what I hope that they, the strategy I hope that they use moving forward, because I'm tired of just hearing about considering, and it's almost kind of like it's starting to make me mad because announce that it's going to happen or don't talk about it.
So I looked into it a little bit, and he would need congressional approval. He would need, the Senate and the House to get on board with this, right? And I just don't think I don't think he's going to get either one. We are in $37 trillion of debt, right? Maybe use some of this money to pay down the debt. You know what I mean? Like, I get you want to help the economy and stuff like that, but like, I just can't see it. I can't see this happening.
Yeah, I just want him to do it if he's going to do it. But if you're gonna if he's gonna get congressional approval, then I'm pretty much sure that they're not going to try to make him look good in any way.
No.
The only thing maybe they can do is try to, in the negotiation of getting the government back open or something, say, hey, if you guys approve this, then I'll do this for you guys. But I don't think that the current administration wants to do what the opposition wants, which is increase their budget for just increasing their budget. I don't want to get deep into it.
And every stimulus was a huge bill. Like, I think Biden's was the Build Back Better bill or whatever it was called, and that was one of the big things in there was the stimulus to the economy. So you have to give something to get this, right? So it was just like it was one of those things where it was like a bunch of bullshit was in that bill. I mean, a bunch of bullshit to get this kind of passed. Everyone was just like, well, this is for the American people, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. I kind of hope this doesn't happen in the sense of, I mean, it would be nice. I don't know. I guess I don't have really an opinion. Either way, I think it's fine if it happens or doesn't happen. But like, we're $37 trillion in debt. Is it smart to give away another, $500 billion to the American people?
Yeah, well, probably not. But at the same time, I think it would make people happy for this current administration. Also, I don't think that's going to, on a personal level, like, what I mean, like us individually, it will help maybe some of these asset markets a little bit, like the collectibles and stuff like that. But I don't know. Let's just do it or don't talk about it.
Yeah, I agree.
That's where I'm at.
I agree. All right, let's get to the next thing here. Q4 is set to explode. So I have this chart here. Obviously, let's take it back to 2023 Q4 up, boom. 2024 Q4 up, boom. And then 2025, can we see a repeat of the last 2 years? We made out pretty well in this one. We made out really well in this one. I don't think we did too well this one. I know there was a lot of people who made money on the AI tokens. I think Runes kind of blew up as well. Yeah, so I guess so. And then 2025. So are you thinking history is going to repeat itself the last couple of years?
Yes, but I think it's going to be more intense. Yeah, so I expect a more intense push up this year. This is Bitcoin, right? So if you're looking at 2024, that was also kind of the hinting that the ETF was going to get approved. So that was a big part of that. And so I do think that we get pretty hyper aggressive here. But if we were to match what they did, then I think we're looking at like 195. So I think that's pretty ambitious considering where we are right now. But hey, some people called 250 last year, and I was in the camp of 250 to 300, maybe 350. So I've kind of readjusted my forecast a little bit to more 185, and that would only be about 10,000 less than where that would be if it were to match the previous year, 2 years really, because we would be right at 195.
Yeah, I'm kind of expecting this. A repeat of 2023 where we have this huge bull run here. Then maybe January we have a little bit downward momentum, and then we push up again going into May, right? And then from May to November, I think we go sideways. And I do think next year, I think we can get another bullish year next year to kind of take us to 400,000 or 500,000. I'm actually saying this repeat here. I'm thinking we're right here right now. We're gonna pop up here. And then beginning of next year go sideways. And then once we get a new Fed chairman, I don't know how you can cut rates and market go down. It doesn't happen. And if we get a new Fed chairman and we do quantitative easing and we cut rates, I think we get this going into May. And then from May to November, because we know we have that election next November, which is the midterms, we might see sideways until we get some the markets don't like to guess, right? The markets like to know what's going on. And then after the elections, we could potentially see another push up, boom, that could take us into $400,000 or $500,000 range. It's kind of what I'm seeing. I'm thinking, I was saying, maybe sell in May and go away, but maybe buy back in September of next year and then push up again to Q4. I think we're about to head into a super cycle, man, taking us to 400. I don't think the end is 2025. I think the end is actually 2026.
I hope so. And if you look back at gold's ETF when it got approved, there was a little bit of volatility, and then it experienced a lot of jubilee, meaning great times for gold's price, right? And so we could be heading into that because the ETF for Bitcoin got approved in early 2024. That would put us at, over almost heading towards 2 years of that ETF being, live. And I think it's probably about time to see some really aggressive benefits from that.
Yeah, I think you're right for sure. All right. Next, I got a couple more charts here. So this one right here is, we basically see a top here every 1,064 days. So this guy Jelly, something I follow. He said previous 2 cycles lasted exactly to 1,064 days, both of them, right? So he's basically saying the top is going to be October 27th. If that is true again, I don't think that is. What do you think? We saw expansion of 1,800% here, 264% here, and he's saying 83% here would push us. Can you see the top being October 27th?
I feel like that would be very shortcut, cut short. And so no, I don't think so. This? Yeah. So if it's for Bitcoin only, even then, no, I think that there would be another rise up for it, right? So definitely not for the entire market. For Bitcoin only, that's possible, but I imagine there's going to be another run back up. History is showing he's using historical kind of trends, right? And so I just think that's too early, in my opinion. I can't see us ending Bitcoin's top here in 24 days.
Yeah, I think this cycle is different. I mean, it's been different this entire time, right? This has been nothing normal about this year than the last couple, right? So I do think that potentially either we're in a delayed cycle, super cycle. Some might even argue it's where this cycle might be 2,000 days instead of the 1,000, but we'll see. One more chart from Jelly here. He says that basically this right here, which is a golden cross, and this is the 200 day moving average and the 50-day moving average. Once they cross, we usually get a giant push up. It just happened again here in September, where we have officially pushed up against the that's the 50 moving across the 200 moving past the 50, correct?
No, it's the 50 moving past the 200.
Okay.
The 50, the 50 is the short term kind of gain one, right? So whenever you see that happen, the price action starts to get a little bit more hyperactive to the upside. So that's the whole idea behind that, right? But yeah, it's crossed multiple times, but I think his point is like when it crosses right before or right when Q4 is happening, that's whenever it gets hyper aggressive to the upside. So right now, what we need to see is what's happening, because if you look at Bitcoin right now, we're almost at 122. By the way, we're at 121, 121,700. Right. Wow. So it's happening. It's happening. Right. I did say possibly new all-time high Sunday evening or next week sometime. Right. So this is definitely a good trend that we're heading in right now. But we expected Bitcoin to get hyper aggressive. We did, based off of some help with Benjamin Cohen and saying that, dominance would probably, be taken back a little bit to the upside. I'm not so sure about that part, him being super right about, but the part that he is going to be right about is Bitcoin getting aggressive and kicking things off.
Yeah, 100%. And, in 2017, after the Golden Cross, the market had a massive surge, pushing all coins and Bitcoin to parabolic run. In 2025, current set up a similar Golden Cross just printed. This suggests we could be in early stages of a major bullish phase, echoing 2017. We've heard that millions of times, that this cycle is reminding everyone 2017. February was the kind of the peak for crypto in that. December was the peak for Bitcoin, but crypto lasted until February. Some coins even ran to March, right? The ICO phase was really kicking in at that point in February. So so I mean, if history repeats, we could potentially top in March. I just think that's impossible to top when we're going to get a Fed chairman who's cutting rates. So it's just really hard for me to maybe think that we're going to copy 2017. Maybe 2025 is just completely different. 2026 is actually the bullish year that we're all hoping for.
Well, nevertheless, every quarter four has been good. If you even look at the non-bull run years, if you look at 2024 and 2023. So I'm happy if that's the case, because then we get our run up here to end the year, and then we get a beautiful 2026. I'm in that camp that thinks that 2026 is going to be unique in the sense of not your typical post bull run year. If you're looking at historical trends or just the template of what it's been, because like you said, the new Fed chair and this administration really needs 2026 to be thriving for the country in terms of economy, everything. It needs to be the year for this presidency, in my opinion, to have a repeat win in 2028.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. All right, let's head over to our next segment, which is the crypto fear and greed. Okay, so last week was a 32. Isn't that crazy to think? We were at 32 last Friday. We were so bearish. I remember it's crazy. It's crazy to think about now. Yesterday was a 51. We're in the high 50s. Where do you think we're at?
58.
Pretty much. Right there at 57. We are neutral. So I think it's time for us to get in the green. I think it's time to get a little greedy here. I do think we're going to be in the 60s and 70s next week. Is that fair to say?
Probably,
but all-time high. I think not being in the 60s. You can't say all-time high and then not be in the 60s.
Well, I think whenever we see, the Solanas, Ethereum, over $5,000, maybe 52 to 5,500 range, we start to get pretty greedy. Then we could hit a peak of greediness, maybe, because it's not going to be only up. We know that in the space, but there's going to be some aggressive ups. I think we're in the first aggressive up right now, just the beginnings of it though. And then I do think there's going to be probably a week to where things chill out and pull back a little bit, maybe longer than a week, who knows? And then we have that second aggressive pull up. And I think that's where we peak greed. And then people start to get overly greedy, overly leveraged and everything. But I do think that kind of, we were able to kind of play into the holiday season with being okay until we're not gonna have a major crash until after. I think that happens probably. And when I say major crash, I'm not saying that 2026 won't be good. I'm saying just a pullback and correction from having a really strong finish to the year. I think that probably happens maybe in the first week or two of January. Then maybe we see what happens then.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see. Looking forward to that for sure. All right, let's jump into the next thing, which is the Bitcoin price action, brought to you guys by Artura.finance. Artura, these guys are building something truly special. I know I said it every single day, but I love what they're building. They're building a perp DEX right now. The perp DEXs have been on fire. You mean Hyperliquid? You're talking Aster. We're talking, Lighter, right? When these guys are building right now, they're building on the Botonics, which is actually going to be giving the biggest Bitcoin airdrop ever. So you definitely want to be a part of that. If you can, get over to Artura.finance and start using it, because I think that Bitcoin airdrop is going to be massive. And they also have their competition. You got 2 more weeks. We got 2 weeks left over here. No problem. We got 2 weeks left over here, so you can get in the top 5. Everyone in the top 5 will make out really well. First place gets 5,000, and then another 5,000. We split between second and fifth place. You definitely want to be a part of that if you can. And it doesn't matter your win rate. All that matters is your P&L. So get over here, make trades, and start using it today. And if you don't want to trade, but you want to make some money, you potentially get 20% APY over here. Just stick in, some money in here and using the vault here. But I highly recommend you guys come over here, make some trades, play around on Botonics. We do have a tutorial video on our page if you want to get started. That'll walk you through step by step on how to get started. But definitely check out Artura.finance today.
Yep, for sure. Guys, make sure you participate in that. You don't want to not have a chance to win 5,000 USDC, right? And that first place position right there is definitely, you can challenge that for sure. It's not too far ahead of anybody yet. Also, the next couple winners below that, you split that 5,000 USDC as well, and 20,000 ARA. So get involved with that. But before we get into some Bitcoin price action on the YouTube side, smash that like for us. Subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on so you know when we go live. On the X side, let's share the space, guys. Let's get it going. And then also same thing on Abstract as well. We love our Abstract community. Share that link. Twitch, Kick, Rumble, and Spotify as well. Let's get into some price action. It's beautiful price action today for sure. As you can see, we did break above this resistance area that we talked about yesterday, right? So I said, what would happen if we did? We would start to get hyper aggressive, and that's exactly what's happening right now. So I love this price action because it is trending in the way that the indicators are telling us, right? So we can see right here the MACD has kicked back into buy pressure. So, I mean, there was a decent amount of sell pressure that happened as well. You can see right here, but it was weak. When you see like on the MACD showing that the sell pressures lasted a certain period of time, but then you look here at the candles and it's pretty weak, that means we're probably switched momentum there. And right now we have started back to the buy pressure, and it's hyper aggressive right now. Right now we're sitting right at 121,900, so right under 122. We're about 3,000 away from a new all-time high. Will we hit it today? Possibly. It's showing that we're just starting the buy pressure, guys. So we could just be kicking this off today. That would be amazing. Also, breaking this level, in my opinion, is very, very important. I don't think we need to get into the support and resistance with this. We are very, very strong where we are right now. As you can see it from pulling into this level. Like we're pretty much the supports dominating the entire way there. I don't see any resistance really taking any levels, going all the way back down to maybe it flips right here. It gets more balanced at the 118,673. So looks very, very good for the 1 hour. Love it. I think we're going to be rocking and rolling here for the next 2, 4, 6 hours. On the 4 hour, let's pull up the 4 hour here. 4 hour looks beautiful as well. Looked like we were possibly going to exhaust this, but we broke back up, and it's right now showing that the fast line wants to go back up to the upside. So we do need to pay attention to this to see if we can pull the stochastics back up into the overbought territory, though, because right now it is showing that we are, continuing this buy pressure momentum on the MACD, but we still got to be careful and watch it. It's important to just be patient a little bit here, especially with, look at this. This is a lot of buy pressure we've gone through. We've gone through a couple green sell pressure candles here on the 4 hour, but this is huge right here. So I would be watching it. And if we can break this momentum indicator back open and the next candle is big again, we start to grow here, then maybe we can feel like, okay, we're aiming for an all-time high today, possibly, which would be amazing. The daily looks really good. You can see the MACD looks amazing as well. This very, very strong MACD candle showing here as well. So it looks like that golden cross is probably right. It looks like we are starting to get hyper aggressive to the upside. And that's what happens when you do get that golden cross in the Q4 time period of the previous examples that he gave, right? So I'm excited to see how strong Bitcoin looks today. It's about time. You've had gold kind of rally very, very strong. Even silver has been pretty strong, but this is Bitcoin's time to shine. I truly believe that. Ethereum looking good, like it's not waiting for Bitcoin. It says, hey, look, we're here for the show too. And it's actually coming out of sell pressure on the hour. So this is good. It is a little bit behind with the indicators than Bitcoin is, but we should see a green candle in the MACD forming here in the next 2 to 4 hours, in my opinion, especially if Bitcoin continues the way it's going. So we are officially at 122 on Bitcoin and Ethereum 45.17. Let's look at the daily for Ethereum. The daily looks good. The daily looks established. We do need to get above this resistance area right here, 4,700 though. If we can get above this, then that's kind of that same scenario that I was talking about Bitcoin getting above the previous resistance, right? So if we can get that above this area on the daily, we could start to tease kind of the previous highs, right, that we had. First, we got to get past that 4,800, and then really that $5,000 mark is where it's going to try to target, in my opinion. So that's good. Bitcoin, Ethereum looks great heading into the weekend. It is Friday, so don't be shocked if we see a little bit of reversal for the last part of today, but don't be concerned about that, because I truly feel like we're in the right direction. We're heading in the right direction. Let's look at some crypto bubbles here. The mixed token is continually getting beat down. I'm not sure why. Maybe they had an airdrop as well for themselves, but this is A perps and leverage DEX in the Binance ecosystem. Obviously, Aster takes all the shine, and Mix is kind of, you know, just here, it seems like, but it's pulled back 30% there. BNB is up 9.1%, 1150. So it's still hyper aggressive to the upside, constantly hitting all-time high after all-time high. You see some of these meme coins. SPX is thriving back. Hey, Monad might actually be happy. He might be winning some of his money back that he lost. He went from 50 million to, I think, like 11 million. So this is something he needs for sure. You see that 13.7% uprise there. And then you got Doge coming up as well, 2.3%, Bonk up 1.4%, Pengu up 2.4%. So the memes outside of SPX is kind of just slightly up. Floki's interesting. It's up 5% here, so that's a pretty good jump. Utility-wise, Cake is up 35%. There, you know, this is huge. The Pancake Swap token is up 35%. So big move up there. Aster's pulled up 7%, Lido up 4.1%, Cardano 88 up 2.4%, Chainlink up 1.6% there. All right, let's look at the top 200 here. Top 200, layer 0 up 9.3%. You got Eigenlayer up 13.3%. Pepe up 30% here.
What is that?
It looks like Ape and Pepe is the name of it. I don't know, honestly. This is kind of weird.
God.
Yeah. And then you got B token, which is a meme token on BSC, up 12.5%. Starknet pulling back 2.6%. XEN pulling back 9.1%. You got MerlinChain up almost 5%. It remains in the top 200, so it's looking good here at 30 cents. You got Hex pulling back 1.6%. I'm a little shocked that Hex is pulled back. Usually it's one of the first tokens to really thrive in these environments. Barachain is pulled back 1.6%. PulseX down 3%. Cato down 1.1% as well. SNEC, which is the Cardano meme coin, the largest meme coin on Cardano, is up 3.2% there. Brett up 3.6% as well, and Virtual's up 3.3% there. And let's see if we can find some Doggy. I think maybe Doggy is on the top 300. It's between 200 and 300 maybe, but I don't see it. Let me actually type it in here. Dog looks like it is 205. Yeah, 205. It is up though on the day, 5.3% there. So looking like it's a shot, you know, it's heading towards 300 million. So it's a good bounce back for Dog token there. But yeah, the this is new. 4 was the meme coin that was launched. Dang, $161 million market cap. So this is the one that was like they hacked the Binance account and they launched this token, and the hacker sold for like $13,000 profit, and now it's 161 million. That's crazy. So congrats to those that actually got into that afterwards.
It's so cool too how communities do that. They're just like, they just CTO it, right? And they're just like, we're taking this, because Binance did tweet it technically, right? Because it was their account that got hacked. So I don't know. I love that. I love that we can take negative events in crypto and make them into the most bullish scenarios. That's one thing about crypto. No matter how bad things get crazy here or like crappy, the communities just come alive and they rally with that. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah, I love that as well.
All right, Bitcoin is flying up there. And real quick, can you bring up your ETH chart again? So the Bart Simpson pattern, it seems like if you go up there, you see the Bart Simpson pattern right there, and then it seemed like we rallied over that, right? Some people say that's a head and shoulders, is the Bart Simpson. It goes against like all charting patterns right there. See, that's the right shoulder, that's the head, and then that's the other shoulder there, and then we still went up, right? But that's normally a negative pattern.
Yeah, but it did pull down though, if you look at it. And this is the daily chart. So this definitely saw some downtrend after this. So we just didn't get the full kind of intense one, right? Which is fine. And it seemed like it stopped in its tracks at, wow, we got that low. We got to 38.
That's what I'm saying. Like it faked out a lot of people, I think. So
yeah, definitely. The head and shoulders is kind of there. It's there. It's there. It's a weird looking one, but it still plays out. But it's a halfway pullback, right? So I think Ethereum's actually looking pretty strong, honestly. Now, Bitcoin's looking very strong right now. I mean, look at this. Is crazy. Like, this is a God candle. This is what they mean by God candle, right? So if we get to, man, like, who's
today, dude?
Yeah, who's unleashing the liquidity? It's crazy. It's almost like there's a button, the Homer Simpson button, where they're like, okay, now. You know what I mean? It's just so wild how these markets work.
And my whole board looked green. I was telling you, as I started to show, my board was like very red. It just, everything's green now. So Bitcoin's giving a signal that it's time to roll. So that's really good. But let's kind of get into the next segment here, which is the where's my banner? It's roll call. Take the first comment of each day. We put it on a spreadsheet, and that first comment, we need a little music for this. We need my guy in here, WebDro. Shout out to you, my friend. The first comment of the day. Let's add you to the chart. You have win number 47. One behind Lackey Lukey, dude. So the Bitcoin frog shot up to almost $800 right now. Do you see that,
dude? Whoever's gonna win this you guys could be coming into something big, and I don't know about that frog strategy thing, but if it works out or something, if someone else does another one that's like raise or something, like the ordinals space could elevate from the node strategy, and frogs could benefit, and you guys could be in some money.
100%, man. We'll see what happens next there. But let's get into the rest of the comments here. We got ASAP Benji is here. Shout out ASAP Benji. Bitcoin is truth, my guy. Abstract says stimmy checks coming. Yes, they are. Well, I don't know. I don't actually know. K99 is here. Satoshi Nakamoto himself. I really appreciate you watching the show. I know you're a very busy man, Satoshi. Answer creating Bitcoin. Spindrift is here. He said pumped for node strategy. I'm actually pumped for it too. I'm thinking I'm gonna try to get in. I'm going to try to repeat what we did last time and buy them after the auction and to kind of see what happens. Chips and Dip is here. Lackey Lukey is here. No. Glasshopper, my guy. Time to lock in, he says. WebJo says GM. Stan is here, my guy. Stan, appreciate you, my friend. He says, wow, testing all-time high. Yagobi the Prophet, he says. He's basically calling you on point, bro. Stan is here with some fire again. Matt said, you're not bullish enough. Matt's. I love you, Matt. That's all I gotta say there. Hydro Savian is here. He goes, dog is king. Murr says GM all. Myself says public doxed figures have rugged more than value than anonymous rugs. Come on. So yeah, I mean, if you want to put CZ and with Do Kwon and stuff, yeah, but like
they both rug?
I mean, I'm sorry.
SPF.
SPF. Yeah. All these letters, Do Kwon and SPF. I mean, those three are the two biggest rugs ever, right? So I don't know. Yeah,
but the more that you punish
anonymous
them,
hurt more.
Yeah, exactly. The more that they get punished, though, the less that people want to do that, especially coming in with these regulations. That's going to change things. But I do agree with what you're saying. If you're looking at statistical, just bare bones of that, but that's where we're heading. You got to be doxxed, and it's going to punish doxxed people and probably anonymous people. They'll figure out who these people are. They're going to put more resources into it too.
Yeah, 100%. I think anonymous figures rugged more people, but money wise, yeah, you're right. WebJo says, yeah, it's way too early to end in October. Yeah, 100%. Matt says TGIF. Rolando is here, man. Appreciate you, my friend. GM fellas. And I think that's all the comments today. I appreciate every single one of you guys who makes roll call each and every day. Absolutely amazing. All right, let's jump into some more topics here. All right. So this is big. VanEck registers for a Lido staked Ethereum ETF in Delaware, indicating filing may come soon. So we do know that the SEC, they're not going to pass any type of ETFs until we get the government shutdown over, because they're shut down right now. That's kind of a reason why. So there was an ETF that passed deadline. Remember, we're talking about October is huge for deadlines. So there's an ETF that went past deadline without anybody acknowledging it. But now that we do have this new SEC rule where all ETFs are basically get approved as long as you fit a certain structure, they're saying that a lot of these ETFs will go past their deadline, because now you have to structure your ETF a certain way to get a pass, and they automatically get passed. So it's still looking like October is going to be ETF month for a lot of these large cap altcoins. But VanEck wants to do a Lido staked Ethereum ETF. I love this, by the way. I think this is because it runs normally. If you go through a CoinGecko, you see Lido staked ETH, right, running with its own price mark. It's usually higher than the Ethereum price too.
Yeah, that shocked me when I found out that it was higher at one point, or consistently. It seems like,
I think, yeah, consistently, yeah.
Because some of the other liquid stake stuff that I've been in, but it was not ETH, right? So ETH is very formidable and strong. But I wonder if there's a little loophole to file for the ETF in Delaware, similar to like how people do corporations in Delaware. So that's pretty cool.
I think it's
if that's
a tax thing for the company. I think it's just a
probably
company tax rule. Yeah.
But it is probably indicating that, you know, these are going to be rolling out soon. And the liquid stake stuff from an institution like VanEck is going to get traditional investors mouth watering, in my opinion, because this is something that they're not used to, having these kind of products to where you get instant, like, you know, earnings off of your, yes, you get, what is it called? Not derivatives. The, what's it called when you earn something with stocks? Dividends. There you go. Dividends. But this is like a straight kind of, you know what you get. It's almost like they're obviously having someone custody it for them, but I think people are going to like this, you know, because they're like, oh, it's just very easy for them to conceptualize what they're going to get from this. You get what I'm saying? So this will be a more and more popular product for traditional investors, which will bring more liquidity over to the digital asset space.
Yeah, I think the Lido, you get 3.5%, 4%, right? So if there's an ETF, let's just say you get into ETF, you could potentially get maybe 1 to 2% APY paid in the ETF itself, right? So if the ETF has a ticker, you'll potentially every year you'll get more ETH than you had the prior year, right? Depending on how they want to do it, 3 months, whatever. But yeah, I think that, you know, I love this. This is something that, you know, in the long term, after we get rich, after this is available, just put money in there, set it, forget it, come back in 10 years and have a lot more ETH than you had to begin with. Actually, you know, 2% and it's compounding, 3% compounding. Gotta love that. So,
yep.
All right. So just as this news dropped, though, it was really weird how this happened. So the second that this dropped, I don't know if Vitalik was asked about this, but he just came hard at Peter Thiel, who has nothing to do with VanEck. He called out Peter Thiel, saying he rejects his cypherpunk ideals. So Vitalik, obviously, the cypherpunk ideals is why Bitcoin was created. You know, the early cypherpunks were Adam Back, Nick Szabo, Hal Finney. You know, Vitalik later. Vitalik was a little, you know, came in a little later to that, but he has, you know, cypherpunk, cypher style, and Thiel actually has a Straussian worldview, favors surveillance, clashing crypto's ethos of privacy and decentralization. So I went and looked up what is Straussian views. It's from philosopher Leo Strauss. Stress elite power, secrecy, and surveillance to maintain order. You know, basically the opposite of everything the cypherpunks want to do. And we do know that Peter Thiel has involvement with some companies, and they are all about surveillance and stuff like this. So how do you feel about Vitalik coming out with this now, basically coming at Peter Thiel, basically saying, hey, you're not one of us? But does it really matter at this point?
I mean, he has a very large point here. You know, also Peter Thiel is an investor in the pump token, by the way. But he is one person that I am a little bit like concerned about, just because, you know, you have the AI kind of monitoring style surveillance company that he wants to roll out for U.S. citizens and stuff. He's been doing like testing in Israel or other Tel Aviv and other places, right? The guy's extremely powerful because he has a lot of money. But he is sort of again like the opposite of the cypherpunk, right? Cypherpunks are more of like, you know, rebellious anarchy, but not annoying. You know what I mean? In my opinion, they want to kind of have a fair shot, and so that's why they create, you know, what they create. and Peter Thiel is kind of the opposite. And I really hope that we don't go into a elite type of RAND society, but this is a little late that he's calling this out. Peter Thiel's been around for a long time. So it is interesting that he's doing it right now. But yeah, so it is a little scary what the future looks like. So I do side with Vitalik here a bit. But what can he do? Like, what can he do to? Because Peter Thiel has a lot of influence. You know, he's really tight with the vice president. He's he supported the current administration to get in. So I think we just got to continually like learn about what the plans are for his companies and for the government.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like a lot of these, especially the Bitcoin maxis, are very like, they want to say that, we're anti-government, we're anti this, but then they cheer when you're seeing some of the biggest, players in TradFi come over and buy Bitcoin and be a part of Bitcoin, right? And Bitcoin was created as a hedge against the U.S. government, but then you want the government to buy it, right? So it's just like it's so contradicting sometimes when you see these people, they're cheering on these big asset managers. Hey, yeah, buy Ethereum, but at the same time, they're basically saying, oh, these people are scumbags, they're the root of all evil and all this stuff. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. I feel like we're gonna have like almost like a civil war once they realize what they've awakened. Right, it's gonna be like, hey, like there's gonna be a fight for these assets eventually down the line, and if we're cheering on them buying Bitcoin and buying Ethereum, but then we're gonna come around and have comments like this, it makes no sense to me. It's very contradictory.
It's probably the biggest hypocritical group of our entire space, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
I think there's probably a handful that are true to their core values, but outside of that, majority of the Bitcoin maxis, the traditional ones, they're all about me. Even though they say that they're for the security of the chain, et cetera, but then and self custody only, and well, that goes out the window whenever there's potential huge consistent buys of Bitcoin. That's okay whenever that happens, right? And so they are and probably will remain the most hypocritical group. The new guard that's come in, I feel like, is more like what the rest of crypto is, so the ordinals group and stuff like that. And even Casey, like to an extent, is like that because he obviously built it, but he tries to hold on to his maxi reputation a bit because he feels like he doesn't want to get disrespected by the traditional maxis and stuff. But at the end of the day, like once you build like a protocol on Bitcoin that they hate, you're kind of out of that group.
100%. Even though you want to stay for sure. But we do have some breaking news. Bitcoin over 123. Shout out to OnePlus and Pastor Ganja. Oh wow, okay. I got that late, but shout out to Pastor Ganja. But yeah, 123.207. This is not stopping, dude. This reminds me of that night. It was like a Thursday night. We were in a meeting with somebody, and this was happening. Remember that? It's very similar to that, but I don't see it stopping right now. Do you see all-time high today? If this continues, obviously, if it continues, but do you see it happening?
We're very close. Yeah. I think there's probably a good like 60 to 65% chance. I mean, we still need to go about $1,800 more than where we are right now to kind of get there. Yeah, so that would kind of for sure lock that in if we got an 8, which is not much because we started the day at 120. So it's definitely possible. But we get to 124, I think we're going to hit that. We get to 124, I think we're going to get to an all-time high. Because it will be about $600 away.
Kind of reminds me of when ETH got up to like 48, and we're gonna press it, and then it fell back down to 46 before it made a run. So do you see maybe something like that happening? Maybe we go up touch right before it, and then have to come back down a little bit because it is Friday after all.
So. It is Friday. We're kind of right at that previous resistance level. Obviously, it wicked up higher because the all-time high was like 124,500. So we're very close to that. We're almost $1,000 off. So this is, if it's going to reject, it's going to reject where we are currently, because that's kind of the previous area, right? That we did get rejected at. Besides the wick, because I'm not counting that, right? That wick was obviously like a power wick. And if we wicked to that, that could be the rejection point as well. But I think if we do get to that point of 124,500, then I think we get past the all-time high. So right now it's really, can we get through this previous resistance level that we're currently at? We're gonna need some pretty strong push up to do so, but I've seen pretty strong push up all morning. So
yeah,
I don't
100%.
see a reason why it would bounce back now.
I mean, all week, really, right? I mean, look at this. Look at these candles. I mean, this is absolutely insane. And but to your point, though, let's just say if we want to count the body, right? The body's right around 123,355. So I think closing above, having the highest, daily close ever will be pretty big if we can close this above 123.4.
Yeah, that would be pretty bullish, right? Saturday would be tomorrow would be very interesting to see how the market plays it, because again, like I said, Saturday's typically one of those low liquidity, low volume days. But if we're in full on bull moon, as Patapu says, he says it actually hasn't started yet. But those Saturdays can turn into an aggressive push up or aggressive push down if we're in a bear market, right? So tomorrow's gonna be interesting if we do have a strong daily close today.
100%. And Patty Poo, when is this bull moon, bro? Is it tomorrow night? Because think about that. Imagine we just go off and run to like 135 this weekend because of Patty Poo's bull moon. I gotta start looking at astrology, dude. I'm putting it in. I'm gonna become an astrology expert. I'm gonna study it this weekend. I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna do some tarot card readings, the whole 9 yards. Because Patty Poo's just been somebody who's just been really, really into this. He says Sunday. Wow, dude, next week could be insane.
Yeah. I think next week is going to be insane.
100%. All right. Let's kind of get into the next thing here. I do have a couple more things here. So Crypto.com partners with Morpho and Kronos to integrate DeFi lending on Kronos blockchain, allowing users to earn stable coin yields on Wrap, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. Pretty big in the sense of Morpho has been someone who has partnered with Coinbase, somebody who has partnered with pretty much all the big players in the game. Morpho came out of nowhere. I mean, obviously, Morpho is just like, I think it's like a compound or maybe an Aave fork. Like I gotta look into Morpho.
Stats Terminal uses them too, right? As a
one of the aggregators, Aave, Morpho, yeah.
Both of them, yeah.
So
I think they said both.
Let's head over to DeFi Llama real quick. Let's do this live. And kind of check out Morpho. There it is right there. So Morpho, I'm trying to figure out what it's a fork of. Maybe I'll head over to lending. Maybe you can kind of see it better from that area. Go to lending. Morpho's got to be like the top one. It's on 29 chains. You click Morpho. Normally it has what it's a fork of in here.
Yeah, maybe it's not though. Maybe it's a custom it says right here Morpho Vaults version 2. Okay, so it's basically live on Ethereum, on chain everywhere. So it doesn't really say right there. They're on Binance too. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They are everywhere.
Now being on Kronos, and you'll be able to take a loan out on your Bitcoin on crypto.com now, and your Ethereum on crypto.com, and it's going to do it for you. So again, these exchanges are becoming, a big proponent of these DeFi lending because they don't got to get their hands dirty, right? They can just do it all on chain for you. But yeah, I mean, this is, can Morpho be the biggest borrowing lending tool ever at this point?
I'm not sure. Aave has like a really good, head start, right? And so, like when Stan was on with us, I remember him saying that they were utilizing Aave and Morpho. So I think a lot of companies or projects that are doing this type of product offering, they're kind of seeing what's the best rates they can get from each. You know what I mean? And then they're pulling that. So I think I think this market, I would love to be Aave. I'd love to be Morpho. I'd love to be all like the top 5 because I think there's going to be like a competitive market for this to where people are going to be, and it's going to change all the time, the better rates and stuff. So I think it's an exciting time. But my question to you is, it says allowing users to earn stable coin yields on wrapped Bitcoin and ETH. on the Kronos blockchain, which is the native blockchain for crypto.com. Are those two assets going to be the most highly sought after for these type of product offerings? Most likely,
you
right?
talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah, wrapped. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah,
those
yeah.
two,
Yeah, so basically, yeah, obviously they're wrapped because they're on Kronos, right? Because it's bridged in. I mean, yeah, I mean, so you have to remember when you're borrowing, you know, how are they earning yield on Bitcoin and Ethereum? That's my question, right?
yeah.
So I do
But
know with stable coins you can earn yield because you're lending to the borrowers, right?
yeah. Yeah, but maybe they're doing the yield based off of some sort of algorithm that the growth of each asset. I'm not quite sure, but what I do think is going to happen is there's going to be a competition of these native blockchains that are going to try to boast like how much TVL they have in Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah.
Those two are like the giants right now. We know that they've established that, right? And then I think there's like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then there's a big gap between after that in terms of institutional holdings and stuff like that. Do you see that possible, being a possible kind of, I guess, like metric that they're going to try to be competitive with each other on? Which chain has the most wrapped Bitcoin and wrapped ETH?
I don't think it really matters, right? Because I just think TVL in general, whether that's ETH or stable coins, right? Because it's at the end of the day, it's locked, right? Total locked value. So there's nothing you can actually do with it. It's the user's asset at the end of the day. So it's really just the value of that asset, right?
Yeah. And unless they
So
start
like
to be able to
self
utilize it,
custody.
yeah, which is not obviously what the DeFi side of this is going to
Yeah.
be, but yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
just
so to
interesting
me,
to me.
once it's locked, you can't really earn anything on it, right? If I go and lock my Ethereum, then no one can earn on it. It's just sitting in a smart contract that's locked until I decide my wallet signs it and opens it, right, with the right amount of deposit back in. But like, so we're seeing right now, you are right. Aave is the leader by far. I didn't realize it was this much of an advantage, but it's like 6 times higher than Morpho. $44 billion locked in TVL, but that's not the big thing. The big thing is the fees. $21 million in 7-day fees, bro. That is insane. Imagine being somebody, an investor, and looking at Aave and saying, and just being like, holy crap, like in the last 7 days, I made $21 million in fees. And this is distributed to the Aave stakers. If you stake your Aave, you're getting a portion of these fees paid in USDC. So that's another reason why, one, you get the governance of Aave, and two, you get potential fees. I think some of these tokens, the Aaves, the Morphos of the world that actually have tokens that are decentralized with governance, I think these are going to be some of the ones. I mean, these could be top 10 tokens one day because you can actually earn from just staking it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is nothing, in my opinion, compared to what the future is probably going to look like. Very attractive to institutions, right? And then also, Aave is kind of creating this like gauntlet of a company because they have a centralized service as well, right? So the fees and stuff that we see right now, they're gonna look very small compared to what we're gonna see in 5 years to 10 years because once institutions regularly utilize, because that's what they're going to do when they come over here is they're going to try to squeeze every bit of yield out that they can in every approach, right? And so you're going to see way more volumes of things kind of coming into these type of protocols. And so that's huge because what does that mean for the Aave holders that can earn off of that 7-day fee? Now, the centralized entity, that's probably going to be completely different, right? That Aave has, they're going to be like having their own revenue that they create for their corporation. But the decentralized one, this is, however they share the fee split with the holders, that's only going to grow as more people pour into these protocols.
Yeah, 100%. DeFi is coming back, guys. I think it's going to come back very rapidly, and you're going to see a lot of these bigger banks and stuff be the ones that are holding these tokens because, I mean, they put their money in, they grab the Aave, they stake it, now they have governance in the biggest lending protocol in the world, which is Aave. So, I mean, DeFi protocol. Another check on Bitcoin because it is getting exciting right now. 123,461. Really kind of pushing up now to the top of the candle here. So Bitcoin, it will be something we'll be looking at the rest of the show for sure. But let's kind of move along now. So Coinbase does a partnership with Samsung to offer users access to crypto through Samsung's wallet app. So I didn't even know Samsung had a wallet app. But apparently they do. I guess right now I have an iPhone, so I have a wallet app, obviously, on iPhone, but obviously I should have probably thought that Samsung has one too. But Coinbase partnering with everyone who has a Samsung's phone. I mean, 75 million users here in the US alone have Samsung phones with now have access to Coinbase at the push of a button. Pretty insane.
It is insane. And I guess I didn't think about Samsung creating their own crypto wallet, but it makes sense because they
No,
have a
this
huge.
is a normal wallet. Like, you know how Apple, you have a wallet on your Apple phone?
Oh, gotcha. So it's more of that style, but it can
Mm-hmm.
access. Okay. Okay. So that makes more sense to me then.
Yeah.
So I just misunderstood that part of that. So I think it's big because Samsung has a big user base, right? And a lot of these Asian companies, they like start kind of manufacturing one products for one sector, and then they're easily can kind of pivot and start creating services for another one. But Samsung's user base is big because it's the second largest user base in terms of cell phone users, right? You have the Apple network, and then you have the Android network. And so I think this is bigger probably for Coinbase, but then also more exposure to Samsung. I think Samsung only has probably Web3 exposure through some investments that they have. I think they're part of like the Hedera investor group as well and stuff. So they're getting more and more involved, and you need that to happen with the tech giants.
100%. And we're getting to an environment now where you're going to be able to take, just, your crypto, leave it in, let's just say you have it in your wallet, your Coinbase account, and be able to spend your crypto with your phone, just like everyone else. You're not, no one's going to even know. You're going to look like in line in Walmart, or let's just say, Costco or wherever, and people are just, spending, just how they normally would. And maybe like 1 out of 100 people are actually using crypto. And I think that number is going to be getting more and more as this comes online, because you're not even going to know. You're not even going to know the difference of spending your Bitcoin or spending your dollars in your bank account. It's going to get that easy to where it's just, you have in your Coinbase account. Obviously, it has to be custody by Coinbase. So then you just swipe your card. They take that second. They sell your Bitcoin a little bit, and boom, you just made a purchase using your Bitcoin. Very simplified, very different, and you never have to go to cash again until you're ready to pay. I love that.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how we are going to, I guess, get to that next step as a society to get people to utilize stable coins and stuff like that. I think it probably starts with employers, right? Don't you think, to where people take their paycheck in stable coins and things like that? So there's going to have to be some incentive driven towards the employers on maybe you can earn a certain amount of something or something like that. Unless
it would just be your direct deposit. Let's just say like Coinbase allows you to direct deposit in there, right? And then you choose the asset that you want to direct deposit into, right? So Coinbase gets the direct deposit sent to their bank, and they put, if you say, hey, stable coins, it's coming in stable coins. So now your bank is Coinbase, and every paycheck, you don't need your employer to do it. You need the third party or your bank to be able to enable that.
But I'm talking more along the lines of them wanting to do that, right? So like the average Joe person, Larry, that works at such and such, that isn't into crypto or Web3. He's, typical dude, watches football, etc., etc. Like, what would motivate him to do that? There has to be some incentive to get like the masses to start doing these actions, right? So does it happen at the employer level? Does it happen with incentivizing the employer, and the employer saying, hey guys, we're giving a bonus to switch over your direct deposit to stable coins, because I feel like there has to be some sort of incentive at that level to get the masses to switch over from regular cash to this.
Larry's going to be using stable coins and not knowing he's using stable coins. Right? When he gets his direct deposit, it might be stable coins. And when he swipes his card, he's spending stable coins, but he has no idea. That's where we need to go. We need to get Larry to the point where he's using stable coins and not even knowing he's using. But in order to get that, we need these rails to kind of start. And you're kind of seeing the very early days of that.
So then the employer themselves would have to be onboarded as what before, not Larry necessarily, but whoever the ADTs or whoever pays would have to be able to,
it's not even them. It's the wire. The wire is now gone. The wire is being replaced with crypto rails.
Right? Yeah, but my point is that it has to leave the company's bank account at some point and go into the employee's bank account.
Yeah.
Right. So there has to be some sort of onboarding event at that level, at least. You know what I mean?
I think it's just the rails are changing. I don't think you understand. Like, I just think that the ways of wiring are going to be stable coins. So instead of your bank sending the old way of sending you money, they're just going to send it through the same exact way. So you're not even going to notice. These stable coins are going to go from that bank account to this bank account in the speed of light, right? All on crypto rails. So everything's going to be stable coins anymore. All, like the days of going to the bank and doing a wire are over. I think you're just going to be able to just boom right from your device, and it's going to use stablecoin rails. So I think getting to a point where people are using stablecoins, so your company doesn't know they're using stablecoins, the employer doesn't know they're stablecoins. It's just the rails in between are using the stablecoins.
Gotcha. So the banks stay the same as well. I have, as a company, I have $5 million in cash in there.
Yep.
And
it's just a balance on the screen, but then once it's going from this place to this place, it'll be okay. For the back end of the computer is going to say, okay, we use USDC for this transaction, and it goes from USDC to this account. That number pops up, and in the back end, it's very similar to what it was, but now you actually have assets. They're not just numbers on the screen no more. They're accounting for assets that are in there, and those assets are accounting for actually stablecoins. Right now, it's just all imaginary numbers. But eventually down the line, I think we're going to get actual assets behind those dollars.
Yeah. Obviously, they would have to get notified on it, but it would be just kind of for legal purposes, just to notify everybody. But, you know, that's going to be interesting if that happens that way, because that would be a very smooth transition.
I mean, just think about how easy it is. Like, even you swipe your debit card, you know, you're not thinking you're spending anything. I just think we're about to go on crypto rails to the point where no one's even going to know they're even using crypto. That's going to be very big. So, but that could allow you to do different things with your stable coins as well. That could allow you to potentially, you know, earn yield and stuff like that using, you know, just taking two stable coins, locking them up and earning 4% yield, PYUSD and USDC. You know, that's one pool that I constantly use when I go from USDC to PYUSD to kind of off ramp, right? I mean, I think those are going to be the biggest money making pools in the world, is locking two stable coins together, two trusted stable coins together, and just kind of going from there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure.
All right. Let's kind of get into our next segment here. Every Friday, we are lucky enough to have the great guys over at Agent Hustle, Emblem Vault, Migrate.fun. I don't care what you call them. These guys are absolutely killing it right now. They are probably one of the biggest dApps in crypto, with Migrate.fun and Agent Hustle really kind of pushing that out. Their biggest project, obviously, is Emblem Vault. And, you know, you're going to be able to jump your NFTs from one chain to another at the push of a button. And then you got to talk Agent Hustle, the LMM that is absolutely killing it for a lot of people. I'm going to be using it later today when I join the guys from the academy to kind of teach me how the best ways to use Hustle. Really excited to learn more about Hustle and more about how to use those tools in there. And then you got Migrate.fun. Migrate.fun had Cointelegraph, had some of the biggest people in crypto saying, wow, look at all these rugs, when in reality, money didn't go to zero, it went to zero. I do love the playing with names there as well. So this is absolutely awesome to have that today. We usually have Jake on, but today we're lucky enough to have Chris. So let's bring up Chris. Chris, welcome back to OnChain Revolution. Thanks so much for being here, sir.
What is good, everybody? Great to see you guys, man. How's everyone doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, brother. First of all, before we get into some funny posts on X the past couple of days, does Bitcoin hit all-time high today?
Oh, what's all-time high? It's like 124. Is that right?
124,500. We're at 123,830, and it
looks good. Send it. Looks good. Send it.
Sender. Chris says. I
think last time I was on was like the beginning of August. We had a bunch of drama going on and things like that, and we were kind of like, where does the market go? And well, it looks like it went up. Looks like it went up. So it's good news
for sure. It's been pretty crazy week for you guys. Obviously kind of finishing up the first couple of projects that participated in the first cohort of Migrate.fun. And it's so funny because there's some large accounts on crypto Twitter that act like they know what's going on with everything, but then all of a sudden they seem clueless whenever it comes to migration. So could you talk a little bit about what the experience has been for, you know, these first couple projects finishing up, and then also what the experience has been like for you educating some of these people?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, as far as some of these accounts, you're never too sure if it's just they know what's going on, they're just doing it for engagement. You know, everyone's a slave to the engagement. But basically, you know, internally we're extremely excited about how the product has performed, how every team has done really well going through the process in its earliest stages. And so, I mean, we're removing the liquidity pool. So you could say what people were saying is that the liquidity rugged on some of these big projects from 30 million to, $100,000 market cap in 30 seconds. But we're removing the liquidity from one token, and we're basically seeding the LP in the new token. So it's a token migration end to end, and we're the first platform that's basically ever done it at commercial scale in the industry. So it's an exciting time. There is a lot of education that needs to be done, but so far so good. All attention for Migrate Fund is good attention for us. The last week, we had the first cohort of migrations come to an end yesterday. So they had 1 week migration time that was set by the teams. 7 of the 14 of them finished up, and all were pretty successful on the other end. So we've got some happy teams. We have 7 more teams to go in terms of that first cohort. Project 89 is ending, I think, tomorrow. And then the rest were pretty much 2 weeks. So interesting to see that, given the timeline, all of these teams were able to choose how long they wanted their migrations to last. And most of them chose either 1 week or 2 weeks. So for community members to say that, they're not offering enough time, this is what everybody is choosing to select within their own communities. And as you saw, Monopoly Money migrated to Zera, and they had a 95% show out. So it's completely possible to get all your tokens across the finish line. You have to be super communicative with your teams, but it is possible. And I think that, people just really need to take responsibility and pay attention to what's going on with their assets.
Yeah, 100% too. And, before with money, I'm pretty sure they were a pump token, correct?
Correct.
And now they're going to have their own pool in Radium, very similar to what you guys did with Hustle. And this is pretty big because now they earn the fees and they choose, right? They can add liquidity in, they can remove liquidity out. They have full control over everything that they're doing. I think this is the way to go. Obviously, a lot of these guys want to go to Bonk Fund. Completely understandable. Bonk was, is something truly special. But having your own pool, something like Zero, that I think is extraordinary, and being able to do that from a pump token to doing this opens up so much window of opportunity now, where you can actually use these launch pads to launch, but actually when you I think Jake says it all the time, training wheels, and then you actually get on your real bike and start moving. This is pretty big for Zero anyway.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. We definitely thought that the use case for Migrate Fund would be a lot of these teams migrating to their own liquidity pools. It is rather interesting to see Launchpad, intra-Launchpad movement, but these Launchpads do offer great support, whether it be social or incentives for teams to move over. And maybe just teams aren't necessarily completely ready to take full control over their community's assets, which is okay too. But in the case of Zera, we basically unlocked $1 million in liquidity for them, transferred it over to their own LP. So, 2 days ago, they had $1 million locked in a pool that they had no access to. Today, they have $1 million in an LP that they have full access to. After the migration, basically safeguard window closes, they'll have full access to it in 90 days. And they're able to earn their own fees from it. So not only do they have access to the actual money inside of it, if for whatever reason they actually truly own it, this is a permissionless industry, so they actually own it, they have full control over the fees that they're going to earn too. So it's quite a big swing for a lot of teams that are looking to get involved in something like that. Definitely communicate or reach out to Migrate Fund, but nothing like this has ever existed at scale in the industry, and it's definitely needed. So it's quite an exciting time.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Hey, I just wanted to add, because I have this question about something you said. You said something about a window. What do you mean about the liquidity window?
So we put a safeguard in where the team can't access the liquidity pool for 90 days. We might shorten that to 60 days, but basically if you're going to control your own LP, it's a little bit suspicious to demand access to it directly after the migration, even though you do own it. And we aren't necessarily the arbiters of truth, but you're using our platform to move to process the movement. We don't really want to be responsible for rugs. We want to safeguard the community. So we don't necessarily want to, quote unquote, unlock a liquidity pool, hand it over to the team, and then instantly it gets rugged. That would be a terrible look for the platform. We're not really here to incentivize that type of behavior. So we put a 90-day window where it's basically time locked, just to kind of keep everyone in good faith. And then after that, it's really up to the team what happens with their token, but as it should be. But We're not really in the business of just kind of incentivizing people to migrate just to pull the liquidity directly after. So we put some safeguards in place there.
Smart move, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think that guardrail was definitely smart for you guys to put in there. But I absolutely think this is, kind of necessity in terms of the space having a platform like this. You guys obviously built this out of a pain point that you had, and usually whenever you have a pretty bad pain point, then other projects do as well, right? So it ended up working out very well. But you guys also got some quite a bit of attention for the first cohort. I mean, Money was one of the hottest projects in Solana. So was that something that you guys went after them, or did they kind of approach you? What's your strategy at trying to get some big names? Because I feel like you guys are going to have some even bigger possible names for cohort number 2.
Yeah, we're in talks with some really, really big teams. The way that the platform works is it just natively is an attention grabber, right? You have all these teams posting about their migrations. You have all the communities posting about their migrations. You have all the outsiders looking in that are like, what's going on with migrations? So it's really like an attention flywheel. And in that process, you have a lot of inbound. So just kind of filtering through all the teams that are serious about it, all the ones that are just kind of inquiring just because they're curious is a task in itself. But it's definitely an attention grabber. If teams are looking to migrate, reach out to Migrate Fund. But there's a lot of teams that have a lot of interest in something like this. As far as Zera, they most likely reached out. I don't know how the conversation began, but if you're a team that is serious about building and here for the long term, a lot of times it really does make sense to own your own liquidity pool. If like, why would you not own the fees that are related to the volume that are coming to buy your token? I mean, it's like the most crypto forward thing ever to actually own your own liquidity pool, just like owning your own assets, owning your own tokens and controlling your own destiny. So we really thought that was the killer feature of Migrate Fund, but people really like these launchpads and can't fault them for it. Launchpads are doing good business. I think the incentives are going to continue to roll out for teams to migrate between these different launchpads. So it's definitely an exciting time for Migrate Fund. It's kind of like more of middleware, we kind of call it, where it's in between all of these different infrastructures, and we're just like the super highway in between all of them that kind of allows liquidity to flow wherever it's treated best. So as far as Zera, really good migration, excited for those guys. And I mean, the privacy narrative is going pretty strong right now. They have a pretty tech heavy team that's really development focused, and I think they operate in really good faith. So I have nothing really but good things to say about the team over there.
Yeah, 100%. Jake says Zera reached out to us multiple times from different community members before committing. Dax is a great dude, and that's one thing too. A lot of these teams and stuff, a lot of them are just community members, right? Who really want to push for this, and they'll get in touch with you guys on behalf of the team, and then the team reaches out. So I love that too. Potentially, if you're just holding the token, reach out to the people who control your pools now and be like, hey, I think this is a good idea, and potentially they'll listen to you. And then you're seeing a lot of these teams who migrated with you guys really get the attention they haven't received in months because of the migration.
Yeah, it's really like a fresh start for a lot of these teams. So many of them are just kind of spinning their wheels. They're doing everything right, in terms of continuing to build, continuing to push the community forward and things like that. But sometimes you just need a jumpstart, a little spark to kind of, revive the narrative and revive the community. And a fresh chart really does wonders for a new team and a new token. You have so many bots that are pointing to all these different tokens that have buy and sell targets based on the technical analysis patterns and everything like that. So just to restart the entire and jumpstart the entire token once again, there's really nothing better for kind of reviving the community. And at this stage, I think we can all agree that a lot of these communities definitely need a revival, and the status quo just really isn't working. So, I mean, instead of fighting an uphill battle of trying to revive a chart that's down 99.999%, but the team is showing up every single day and working harder than ever, but nothing's happening. It's definitely worthwhile to at least consider a token migration and have the conversation. So we're not here to force anyone to have any type of token migration. We don't pay anyone to do a token migration. We get paid for token migrations, but it's definitely a conversation, and a lot of it happens from the ground up. Community members up to the team, where we're like, community members are like, this seems like a pretty creative way to fix maybe what hasn't been working in the past. And so it's definitely worthwhile to have the conversation and see where it goes for your communities, because honestly, it could be night and day. It could be a huge difference.
Yeah, especially rebranding. You kind of have to do the migration if you do a rebrand, and I think Money did a great job with that. But to your point, whenever there are bots that have strategic approaches to certain tokens because of volume and stuff like that, and you have no control over the liquidity pool, then it's really tough to kind of get through that. But when you do gain control of the liquidity pool, there's strategies for that, and obviously responsible ones. And so I'm excited for Zara to see what, I think they're going to benefit immensely from this in the next couple of months here. We should see something like that. But if I'm somebody that's wanting to join the next cohort, because I'm hearing that you guys are really focusing on, making the experience pleasant for the teams. What does that look like from an experience perspective for the team? Do you guys kind of hold my hand through it, or do you more like guide me? What does that look like?
Yeah, definitely. So the onboarding process is getting easier and easier. We from this first cohort, we've really buckled down on the pain points, and we know where needs a little bit more work and a little bit more attention. And so going forward, the cohorts are going to be even smoother than the last one. But yeah, we hop on some calls, we onboard them. All of the actual transactions are processed through the teams. So it's done with their own wallets, obviously. We don't custody their funds. We don't sign any transactions for them. They're the ones that are initiating and going through the whole process within their own wallets and within their own signing their own transactions. And, it's just really kind of a walkthrough process. And we kind of give them videos, tutorial videos, step-by-step of what to expect next. And there's also group chats with all of these teams that are in a single group chat that can kind of communicate amongst each other and talk about, whatever pain points they might be having. But the platform is really, really, in a good spot where we've filtered through so many edge cases over the last couple of weeks and months where it's has the strongest foundation that we could have possibly imagined. So anyone that's coming to market with a migration platform at this stage, they have a ton to learn, just like we had a ton to learn. So not only is the development tech wise extremely mature compared to where the rest of the market is, obviously no one else is to market yet, but socially it's very mature where you're able to build and kind of fix all of these kind of pain points for all these communities that have different wants and needs, and kind of get the fixes ready and in production before anyone else is even to market. But one thing that is of note is just how much money these teams are able to make from their liquidity pools. If you're doing $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a day in volume, you're going to be making $1,000 to $10,000 a day in fees. If you're making $1,000 to $10,000 a day, $3,000 a day, you're doing 500, 800,000, $1.5 million in volume. That's $90,000 a month just for you existing. What can that do to your team? What can that do to your community expansion? And just kind of, propelling forward the mission that you're kind of drive forward is pretty insane.
Yeah, man, that allows you to hire devs, that allows you to have marketing, that allows you to potentially grow from just the normal community coin or meme coin into a potential project, right? Maybe some people, hey, what do you want to do with this money? Let's have a community vote on it. And then that next thing you know, they're a gamify project, right? They're building video games because now they're able to hire devs because of the potentially doing it. Yeah, I love that, man. I'm curious, you're talking about learning. So Jake told us before that there's a lot of teams that made the call, talked to you guys and said, hey, we want to watch from the sidelines. They got to be impressed, right? You're probably having a lot of people now be like, okay, we're in now.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a bit nerve-wracking for teams to go through anything for the first time. Their community is everything to them. It's kind of like their life's work up to this point for some of them. To go in dark to a new protocol that's never been done before and experience it for the first time, it's definitely a little bit shaky or a bit wary. Maybe you'll get some cold feet, but watching teams, thank goodness to these pioneers that really push the narrative and the platform forward, go through successfully is a huge win, not only for us, but for the whole space. So anyone watching, definitely there's a ton of people on the sidelines that have these thoughts of what it would be like to migrate or rebrand or how easy the process would be. Definitely get in touch with either us or any of the teams that have gone through. And as you can see on the timeline, every community that's gone through is pretty excited and pretty kind of relieved at how easy and seamless the process was. So happy to make that happen for everyone involved.
I mean, it seems like a big success for me. So from my perspective, so congratulations on the first cohort there. I do want to get a little bit into a topic that we talked about today, and it was utilizing this tool that can possibly help you find 100x, project in this Q4. I'm sure you have no idea what tool I'm talking about. But obviously it's Agent Hustle, right? And these AI agents. You guys have flirted with the idea of actually not even flirted. You get it's in the roadmap now that you guys are going to have an EVM tech stack with Hustle. Do you feel like Hustle could be the one-stop shop to find these 20, 50, 100x's once you guys are cross-chain as well?
Yeah, I mean, we refer to it as intelligent token discovery, finding gems or early stage runners with using AI in the trenches, and that's kind of Agent Hustle's biggest competitive advantage or moat at the moment. And basically these runners, they all have some combination of viral headlines, early insider money movements, volume patterns, smart money buys. And so what we're doing is we're really breaking it down to more of an equation as how we can pinpoint what these runners might be and have higher quality runners. And then at the same time, we're deducting a lot of the outputs that he is given, which just by looking at a chart, sometimes Hustle will kind of recommend a chart that's like down 99%. And even though it might have good headlines or it was already rugged or whatever, and by deducting the obvious rugs and the obvious not necessarily good plays and improving the token finding capabilities, I think that we can really improve his hit rate. And then that's replicable across all different chains, because most chains have all these viral meme coins have basically the same factors coinciding with their growth. So he's super performant on Solana. I think that we can get his hit rate up even further, and then we're going to replicate that from chain to chain to chain. As you mentioned, EVM build out is well underway. I think it might be coming this month. We'll have to wait and see, but the EVM tech stack is obviously a precursor of everything else for layer 2s and beyond. So once we get Ethereum integrated, expect super speed development going into all these L2s and the rest of the ecosystem. But Solana build out was definitely the hardest, took the most work, and is the most tech heavy because a lot of these integrations had to be built from the ground up internally, whereas Ethereum, there's a lot more plugins available. The development tooling is much more mature. So where Hustle is today and where he could be in 6 months is like night and day difference. And just we're looking forward to kind of replicate the playbook that we have on Solana across all these other chains. And there's not too much AI competition as you kind of veer out further into these ecosystems.
Yeah, man, 100%. And like one thing about the EVM side is like, we're seeing stuff like Morpho partner with, crypto.com, with Coinbase. They're probably going to be one of the biggest lenders of them in Aave. And then being able to utilize Agent Hustle to potentially get you the best loan as almost like an aggregator. It pretty much can aggregate everything once it's on that chain, as long as you guys put it in. Are you guys talking about that on the inside about potentially using Hustle as like an aggregator once it's on EVM?
Yeah, definitely. And, DeFi is the biggest use case on Ethereum. So we're very cognizant of that. He will have his DeFi capabilities. There's definitely more of a focus on liquidity pools and lending on Ethereum than there is on Solana. So that's definitely a priority within the integration. But, this is the earliest stages. I think that when people think of Agent Hustle, they look at him as a gem finder. They look at him as kind of a trench companion. But I don't necessarily think that they're thinking of how powerful the AI aspect of him is and what that looks at like the enterprise level scale. And so if you think that AI is going anywhere, I think that you would be mistaken. And if you look across the broad base of ecosystems that we have, look at all the top 25 blockchains, almost none of them have performant AIs that can process transactions at scale. And so there's definitely conversations that are happening to put Agent Hustle in more of like an enterprise focus rather than just, in terms of like the consumer facing side, which we're looking to grow them both in tandem. But I think people should really start thinking of, you know, how performant he is processing transactions and handling on-chain complex transactions, and what that would look at more of an enterprise scale, and how we can kind of power a lot of these different ecosystems in a really big way. I think that that's like one of the most underrated and underexplored parts of him. So I would expect more news coming out on that front pretty shortly here.
Yeah, man, and like I just imagine a world where I could just tell Hustle like, hey, take my my 5 ETH, right, and then every month, take my 5 ETH, stake it, and then every month pull out $1,000 and put it in stablecoin. So then I'm just every month I have $1,000 to spend on my card every day, and I don't even not even doing anything, right? It's just showing up and use my card like I would, and everything's happening through this AI, through DeFi, in the sense of everything's just happening, and it is what it is. It's just, you're just going about your day, but you're enabling all this stuff to happen months in advance, and you can just continue to be normal, be a normie, but have this crypto earning platform that's working for you.
Yeah, and these are the earliest days, and so you look at someone like Maverick, Soul Maverick, Crazy for Crypto, and the Academy. He's able to really cut through the noise and find these runners basically every single day at this stage, and that's because the way that these LLMs are structured, you just reinforce them with learning, and they just build off of the last outputs that you liked. So the better output that you find, the more you're able to reinforce the learning, and the more he'll find similar outputs that will match that one. And then you just continue to reinforce the levels. And then before you know it, the more time that you spend with him, the better that his outputs are going to be. And so when you put that in the context of something like DeFi and yield farming, he'll really be able to spot these red flags or these kind of unlocked liquidity features that might be a little bit predatory or whatever. And then that gets to a world where you're talking about Shizzy, where you can kind of just set it and forget it and kind of let him go on auto mode and basically take money to your bank every single month. But we're not quite there yet, but it'll take some more reinforcement, but we're well on the way. And it's kind of crazy that so few teams are building in this direction. There's maybe like 20 teams that are building in this direction, and like 3 of them have any type of product on the market.
I think the sector that needs to watch out the most is the wallet sector, because I think that with something like Agent Hustle, right? You actually kind of build it as like an AI model first, and then realize that this is eventually going to be the one-stop shop that people can go to do all their DeFi transactions, because you guys are going to have multiple environment support, right? With EVM, SVM, Bitcoin eventually. So why do I need to use my regular wallet whenever I can just use my Agent Hustle account to do all those things? I can just have a dedicated wallet for each one outside that I want to set if I want to onboard and send to my bank account or whatever. And you guys could actually integrate that later too. But my point that I'm making is it's kind of like, because you guys started with the AI model first product, it's like it's easy for you guys to make this like a solution for a one-stop shop wallet, versus the wallets that are already kind of in their way of thinking, saying that we got to add an AI to it. Oh, well, we'll do that whenever it's time or whatever. But it's actually easier for you guys because you guys are building it right now, all together in one stop shop.
Yeah, it's kind of the way the technology develops. You're able to leapfrog the old technology because you don't have the infrastructure that you have to recreate. So it's much easier to build with like satellite than it is to go from like 3G to 5G, right? Because you can just go straight to satellite. So starting with the AI first, we like to say internally that we have the most powerful AI aspect of the crypto DeFi AI sector. Some people have stronger DeFi tooling than we do, but in terms of like a crypto focused AI, I think that we have the best one on the market. And just the scale that it's going to increase at and the speed that it's going to increase at is going to be pretty impressive over the next couple of months. But definitely, we're more confident than ever that the LLM interface and the chat interface is the interface that the majority of the world will kind of interact with crypto rails going forward. And so I would look to see some of these wallet companies creating or trying to create some sort of chat interface. And I would look for a lot of acquisitions within the space. And there's only a few amount of companies that would be even eligible or mature enough for an acquisition. So the next 12 to 18 months are going to be a pretty exciting time to be in this space. Some big numbers are going to be caught from some of these teams.
Yeah, man. I couldn't agree more. We got a comment here. Bertoshi Squasho Yakaboto, my guy. He says, "Ayo, get to watch Chris on the podcast and Shizzy on the Academy live later today." Yeah, I'm gonna be joining the Academy later. Kind of learn about about the different stuff, how they're making money, right? I'm gonna take like a couple $100 over there. Be like, all right, teach me how to use Hustle, because I use Hustle in the sense of just like trying to find long-term investments. I'm not really a pump fund trader. I like to find stuff where I can put my money into long periods of time and just watch it grow and expand, very similar to why I invest in Hustle, right? Because I just believe in the product. I believe in what it's going to be. So doing this stuff and then using Hustle in the aspect of finding a pump fund. Is this something you do personally? Do you ever catch yourself maybe using Hustle to find a 3-4x that day?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a power user of the platform. It's kind of like my job. So paid to be in the trenches, I guess you could say. But I like to see all the tools that are on the market. So not only do I use Hustle, I use all the other AIs that are even somewhat compatible. But Agent Hustle is my favorite to use, not just because I'm helping build, but it just really is like the best in its class for what we're trying to use it for. What do they say? Like a 2x a day keeps the 9 to 5 away or something like that. So even in these downtimes, you have to like, if you extrapolate the timeline, the trenches aren't going anywhere. Like there's going to be new narratives and new headlines and new memes that pop up every single day. And whether they go to 500,000 or 2 million or 20 million, it's going to be in perpetuity for the end of time at this stage. I don't think it's going anywhere. And so if you think about it, how many of these tokens are running from literally 0 or 50,000 to 300,000 or 600,000 or 2 million a day? And if you're able to kind of use AI to really narrow down the focus on what the potential runners would be, and you can improve the hit rate from there and kind of refilter the already filtered from the AI, I think you have a really good chance at being able to catch, some of these moves pretty much daily. And it's like a replicable process. And that's where, we can find and really grow our user base, is once we kind of narrow down and improve the hit rate to a point where people can log in every day and have a good chance of hitting a 2x or a 3x or a 4x, because they exist every single day. You just kind of have to find them in the piles of thousands of tokens being launched every single day. But it's impossible to discover them by yourself with high probability success. But with AI narrowing it down and then you refiltering on top of it, the combination of human and AI collaboration is really like our strong suit. And I think that we're really working hard to replicate and making sure that process is replicable day in and day out. I think that once we improve the hit rate a bit further, we're really going to see that the users on Agent Hustle skyrocket.
Yeah, I mean, I've experienced it myself. It is really hard to try to do that yourself, even whenever you're using these sniper wallets like Axiom and stuff like that, because there's so many things you got to remember, so many like settings you have to set up, and with an AI. Working with the AI that's already integrated into the search process, right? So I think that's going to be super exciting. So I want to get in the head of Chris, kind of the trader, a little bit here, because you do have some great insight every time that we have the pleasure of having you on. I'm in the camp to where I feel like Solana is still, high liquidity area, but I do feel like the pump funds and those kind of groups, they're very like siloed to themselves in terms of making sure that they're winning all the time, right? And that's why Hustle exists, in my opinion, is to be able to have that edge back. Do you see maybe like different areas of Solana emerging to make it more retail friendly, or do you think maybe we start to see some other environments like BSC or maybe Abstract or SUI or something like that? What's your thought process as from that?
So we do year-end predictions every year, and every year one of mine is that Solana will have the breakout app once again, just because it's natively the most user-friendly chain. It's cheap, it's fast, it's fun, all the UX is good. And so if you're an app builder, you want to build where your users are, and Solana has like the most users. Can apps exist on other chains? Sure, but they just don't have the users to support it. Can they get them? Maybe. We'll have to see, but it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of attention. So you see BSC blowing up. I think that has like some staying power. CZ is one of the greatest of all time. I mean, if you want a figurehead on top of your ecosystem, you want no one else but CZ. He's the best to ever do it. He has some of the most money in the world. He is famous for, you know, there was like this moment in like I don't know what year it was at this point, but someone was like fudding BNB and saying that maybe they were insolvent or something like that. And he was like, you're making the chart look ugly, because he like prided himself on how good the BNB chart looked, you know, from an outsider's perspective. And like, that's kind of the figurehead that you're looking for if you're looking to make money, right? And you're looking to onboard users. So you see the BNB ecosystem. I think BNB just hit an all-time high, like $1,100 yesterday. Pretty impressive stuff. So in terms of where to look for one of the next breakout apps, you have to follow the money, you have to follow the users. I think it's mostly Solana's game, but BNB is a close second at this stage with CZ back in focus. He's the main character of main characters. And then, you know, there's a lot of exciting stuff starting to happen on Ethereum, more institutional grade, but I wouldn't really be looking anywhere other than those three, you know. I guess you could say Hyperliquid, but I would rather play on BNB at this stage than Hyperliquid. I'd even rather look for opportunities popping up on Ethereum, because I think that a lot more of these institutional players, that's where they're going to play. I don't see them going over to BSC. They might be on some levels of Solana, but I think Ethereum is like much more comfortable for them.
Yeah. I'm curious on your outlook on the Bitcoin ecosystem. Do you think that it's like a sneaky play, or do you think it's not looking great? What's your outlook on that?
No, I still like the Bitcoin ecosystem. I think it's the easiest to sit and wait. I just look at it as the most reminiscent of true Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin sat in the corners of the dark web for years, untouched and undiscovered. And anyone that was paying attention, it was extremely obvious to. And anyone that wasn't thought that it was complete trash, right? So I look at some of these coins, and I think that they're the most reminiscent of early Bitcoin. I look at something like Magic Internet Money or Dog, or some of these early NFTs on Bitcoin. And I think that those are the most like aligned with Bitcoin culture. I think that the bigger that Bitcoin gets, I think the bigger the Bitcoin culture will be exported to the world. And, you know, it might not be the hot new ecosystem that you can 5 or 10x in a day, but I think it's the easiest ecosystem to have like a high probability chance of making like pretty extreme wealth over the next 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, man. And speaking of the Bitcoin ecosystem, over the last couple of days, we've seen these things pop up called strategies, right? MicroStrategy kind of started it, and now you're seeing the NodeMonkes strategy, and it raised, you know, I want to say $5-6 million, something crazy like that, in a matter of like 24 hours, not even. How do you feel about potentially giving up trust and trusting these people? Because we do trust, right? When even with Agent Hustle, and when we buy the Agent Hustle coin, we're trusting that you guys are going to keep building, the channel is going to keep being there and being the lead dev there. So do you feel like trusting these guys who are going to use 4 multi-sigs and going to have like all these NodeMonkes, potentially a couple hundred NodeMonkes in their custody? Do you think that's something that's kind of safe in that sense? And do you believe in these would you invest in these?
I mean, you can be early, but you don't want to be late. I guess the mindset would be, you know, you should be early, but don't be late. And if you're wary about them, then just buy what they're buying, you know, ride the wave without having to take them as a counterparty or put your assets within their reach. So I'd say be early, don't be late. But I think that the Bitcoin ecosystem, and, you know, I've been at the start of all of these ecosystems and seen them all develop. You know, I was the earliest to Solana, was super early to Ethereum. And like when you're there, no one's there, and everyone else says the same stuff every single time. Like, this is a scam, nobody's ever going to use it, but you have to have the vision that some people will use it. And so these strategies were inevitable. Like, you have the Bitcoin ecosystem, they love their assets. They will find a way to buy these assets at scale. And it's more of a matter or a function of time rather than it not happening at all. It's just, how long will it take to happen rather than it not happening? You know, people will spin up these strategies for Dog or for Magic Internet Money or for, I don't know, Pizza Ninjas maybe, or whatever it would be. You know, people truly love their assets on Bitcoin, and they think that they are, which objectively they most likely are, the hardest assets on earth. And it's just kind of more of a function of time. How long does this take to happen? But I'm not surprised to see it happening at all.
Yeah. I think that was perfect what you said, and I think that's what an experienced trader says, is that you want to be early, you don't want to be late, especially with something like the strategy approach. But the timing is perfect for something like this, right? We just started Q4, so if there's this Ponzi-nomics that's happening, you want it to happen now while everything is rising up, but you do want to exit at the right time. You don't want to be the last one holding the bag. But yeah, that's exciting. I love to hear your perspective about trading and stuff. So what is Emblem? What is the team focused mostly on right now? Obviously, you guys had the Migrate fund. Hustle's a big deal. What would you say is the biggest thing on your plate?
Oh man, there's a lot. But I mean, Migrate fund is where all the attention is, and you kind of can't really discount that. I think the biggest integrations up next are for Hustle. They're still being built on the background, but you never want to like announce Hustle integrations when Migrate fund has natural attention. Like, why dilute your attention to promote something else? And so it'll always come in waves, and these cohorts are great attention getters. The attention's on Migrate fund. The platform is new. It still has some kinks to be worked out, so some features to kind of be smoothed out. So that's taking a large majority of kind of the mind share of the team and the workload. It's kind of like all hands on deck, making sure that these teams get over the finish line smoothly. So to see 7 teams get over the finish line successfully yesterday is massive sigh of relief for the team internally. The best launches are quiet launches, where quiet in the sense where nothing goes wrong, uneventful launches, you could say, so got over the finish line without kind of any kind of catastrophic blow-ups or anything. Obviously everything's audited, and you think of all of the pain points and all of the potential edge cases, but you can't ever fully account for everything. All the unknown unknowns is what they're called. So to see these teams kind of fully across the finish line and successfully on the other side, it's a huge sigh of relief for not only the teams but us internally as well, and the platform will only get better. And then obviously the dark horse is always Emblem Vault. Like the vaulting narrative is getting stronger and stronger by the day. Our infrastructure internally is getting stronger and stronger by the day. And all of our products are powered by using Emblem Vaults. Our newest product will be extremely Emblem Vault aligned, and that's always the dark horse. It might not be in season right now because NFTs aren't necessarily in season right now, but the use cases for Emblem Vault and vaults are stacking up to the ceiling, basically. So, we're working with new partners and having early discussions with new partners weekly on how they can use Emblem Vaults. And some of these integrations would be like day and night for where the company is today and where it could be in a couple of weeks. So we have this, broad array of products in our product suite, and any of them can completely blow up at one point in time. And I don't think anyone's ready for what the world looks like if all 3 of them or all 4 of them blow up pretty completely. And they're extremely reflexive. So the next couple of months are going to be a pretty fun ride over for the Emblem Vault team.
Yeah, man. I kind of thought about the Emblem Vaults when I was thinking about the strategy, right? The NodeMonkes strategy, potentially locking those NodeMonkes up in vaults, and then time locking those vaults, right, for a certain amount of time. I think, and then there is no trusting, right? Because you do know, let's just say you lock it up for 2 years or whatever it is. Is that something maybe potentially Emblem Vault could do for some of these strategy companies come in and actually be that third party?
Yeah, so I think that the most exciting use case would be that, the NFT strategy is Ethereum aligned. All of its rollouts are on Ethereum. And so the most common sense approach would be to integrate with them and bring all collections to their already functioning platform on Ethereum. So we can bring Solana NFTs over. You can bring early Bitcoin NFTs over. You can bring ordinals over, and they can actually be under the NFT strategy umbrella. So it'll be integrated, or it can be integrated right with their full stack. And I think that aligning 2 major powerhouse partners like that would be a massive win for the ecosystem.
So I want to make sure I understand this properly. So you're saying, for an example, let's say like the Bitcoin Frog collection would vault with Emblem Vault, take into Ethereum to kind of start that same strategy, like the CryptoPunk strategy and the Moonbird strategy, except for it'll be vaulted on Ethereum, but it would support buying ordinals back. It would just be vaulted. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly right. So instead of buying the native Ethereum NFTs like for Punk strategy, they would buy the native Bitcoin NFTs in vaults, but they would still live under the NFT strategy, quote unquote. If this were to kind of come to fruition, it would be really aligned for basically the Bitcoin ecosystems and the NFT strategy ecosystem as well.
Yeah, man. I want to move on to something else. So you guys recently have a new dev, right? Jake's been telling us onboarded last month. You know, a lot of the weight was on Shannon and Bunzi and stuff. So how much better is it now having that new dev kind of join the party? And you guys are expanding very rapidly as well.
Yeah, so we're expanding really intentionally. We're almost at the ideal team size, you know, 5-6 devs, a couple marketers and strategy, and then maybe a couple of social medias. We're getting pretty close to the ideal team size for us. We don't want to expand too big. It gets messy when you have too many developers or your team has too much kind of bloat, but we're pretty close. John, great developer, was a early Emblem developer, so he was like pretty familiar with the systems and just kind of getting him up to speed on all of our new products. But the growth is crazy. I mean, we look back like the beginning of last year, we had like Shannon, you know, that was like it. We had like a Shannon and like a couple contract devs that would work sometimes. And it was just like Shannon was steering this whole boat, and, you know, just we're trying to keep up development pace. And it was like an extremely stressful time within the company. And so now there's a little bit of breathing room, but all that we want to do at the end of the day is just build really innovative and fun products for our community and for basically the ecosystem. And it's really hard when you're kind of bottlenecked with a small development team, but now we're able to kind of build out everything that we want to. And man, there's a lot to kind of tackle, but you know, there's so much to innovate on the Emblem side, whether it be like peer-to-peer NFT exchange or something that's kind of like on the back burner that we want, where you can kind of put anything in vaults from two different counterparties and kind of swap them back and forth. Pretty exciting things like that, and just kind of really help develop the NFT ecosystem to a point where it really needs to be. But yeah, definitely we're more developer focused and development heavy than we've ever been, thankfully. And you know, getting everyone up to speed takes a bit of a minute, but everyone's working really well together. And finally, I think everyone's caught their stride and basically has filled in their niche where they belong within the company. And so it's really kind of, you know, we're firing on all cylinders at this stage, which is pretty cool to see. It's kind of a pretty well-oiled machine. Could always be a little bit more well-oiled, but a pretty well-oiled machine operating this stage for sure.
I'm still convinced that Shannon and Hustle are the same person. Have you met this Shannon, or is he just Jake's computer?
Yeah, no, Shannon. He's epic guy. God bless Shannon, man. What a guy, man. I mean, he's been through, you know, peaks and valleys with this company for sure. And so no one is more deserving of the glory than Shannon. One of the greatest to ever do it. I think history is going to look back on Shannon Code as like one of truly like the great minds and innovators within the crypto space. Just how early and how confident and how prolific of a builder he really is. So these are the earliest days, even at this stage of his lore, which is like 15 years in of Shannon Code. So really look for him to go. Like that's one of the most exciting things is for Shannon to just be widely recognized as one of the greats, because look at everything that he's able to build and look at everything that he's able to do and command. And these are still just really some of the earliest, you know, phases of what he's going to build. So all praise to Shannon, man. One of the greats.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, his experience extends back to the early 2010s in terms of Mastercoin and all that stuff and the experience. And the thing about his journey, and I don't know all the details about it, I just know kind of that high level of what Jake has told us, but it seems like he's been through a lot of like learning experiences and then finally getting all the chess pieces in the right places. Is that a good description, you think, of where Shannon went through?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with like developers, the best thing that you can do for a developer is just let them build what they want to build. You know, you don't want to give them task work. That's really like dampens their creativity. But what a developer will build might never make money. you know, you have to find a way to kind of productize it and get it out to the market and build it in such a way that's approachable for end users. And so, you know, he really built infrastructure first with Emblem Vaults, and then we as a team came together and said, what are the best ways to productize these vaults and make sure that we're the biggest bulk buyers and bulk users of these vaults for all of our products. And so the vaulting technology is at the core of all of our platforms and will continue to be going forward. And building off of that kind of sound infrastructure gives us such an edge that none of these other teams have. You know, they would be better off just using Emblem Vaults at their core of their businesses as well. So, you know, the best thing you can do for developers, let them go free, and then kind of reel them back in and say, all right, you built this. How can we kind of reverse engineer this and find a way to make it a product and still let you have your creativity and still kind of let you go full force. But to kind of put them in a category and tell them to do this task work, yeah, like you'll never get the best results out of a dev by doing something like that. You have to let them go free.
Yeah, man, 100%. You know, let's jump to something else. So, you know, outside of what you guys are building, what are you most personally excited about? Like, is there an NFT project? Is there a coin? Is there anything that you're looking into each and every day, or is just, you know, you just so heads down building right now?
We're definitely in the weeds for sure, but I mean, I think crypto AI is the most obvious intersection of all time. I think that's where the most money is going to be made. I think you'll look back in the future and you'll see trillion-dollar companies, and all of them will be heavy AI build-outs. Crypto is at the most exciting stage of my career that it's ever been, on the brink of true mainstream adoption, more, you know, institutional adoption at the moment. But, you know, next comes like the late majority, you know, early majority, then kind of institutional majority, and then the late majority of kind of everybody understanding why we've been building this industry so passionately against so much adversity for the past decade. It's really, really cool to see the stage that we're at and kind of see Bitcoin really hit its stride in the mainstream. And, you know, a lot of these big institutional banks, and whether you like them or not, you know, foreign adversaries or foreign diplomats and all these, you know, major people on the global scale getting it integrated in crypto, whether you like it or not. Bitcoin is for enemies. It's for everyone. And so that was always part of the playbook, and to see it really kind of happening in real time, I just think that this is the most exciting time to be alive ever. Like every day is a good day. You know, that's kind of the best way that I can put it. It's an exciting time to be alive. I'm happy to be here.
Love it. That's exciting, man. I mean, I see it too. I think whenever you host a show, it's sometimes it's tough because, like, you know, the audience is wanting price go up and all these things. You get sometimes you get lost in the weeds a little bit, but if you zoom out, you do see the adoption happening from the institution level, and that's where it's got to start. So we know what's coming next, basically. So appreciate you, man. Obviously, you guys are super busy, right? And we appreciate you showing up here, you and your team, every Friday, giving us an hour for hanging with Hustle. But love to give you the stage one last time before we let you go. You know, anything else that you have to talk about with Hustle to the audience?
Yeah, now. Love kicking it with you guys. Thanks for having us. Thanks for everything that you do, man. Huge fan of the show. Watch every week. You know, appreciate you guys a ton. And I think that just from me, last word, this is the best time to be alive. This is the best time to invest. This is the best time to create. This is the best time to innovate. This is the best time to build. And so really take advantage of it. Like, it's easy to get caught up in the trenches and say, like, I need my money to grow today or tomorrow. But you're missing the biggest investments of the next generation. Like, you know, whether it's us or whether it's another company, they're all sitting right in front of you. And so take a step back and stop trying to catch the 2x and look for the 2000x over the next decade. And really, that's where the biggest money that can be made is, because how much money are you able to put on some of these 2x's or 3x's? $50 or $100 or $200. But you can really get size into some of these high probability successes that will power the next generation, that will go 1,000, 2,000, 3,000x or whatever it might be. You know, you look, everyone idolizes the Apple buyers in the 90s, or the Microsoft buyers in the 90s, or the early Tesla buyers. And it's like, well, they didn't waste their time looking to flip penny stocks, right? You don't know the names of the iconic penny stock flippers that all these people did. They put size into high probability investments that could change the world. And there's no industry better for producing, you know, world-changing innovative technology than crypto and AI. And so everyone should be thankful that they're here right now. You did the hard part. You got here. Now you just have to find the biggest plays of the next generation. I'm not saying avoid the trenches or avoid looking for the quick flips. I'm just saying pay attention to where you can put some serious size and sit on it for the next years and make actual generation changing money. Because I think that is the most exciting aspect of this whole, bubble that we live in. It's your opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, man, I couldn't said it better. 100%. And you got my man Bratoshi says, man, Chris knows how to make it, bro. Bullish as AF. So 100%, dude. Thank you so much for joining us, man. Really appreciate your time and can't wait till next time.
Of course, man. I'll see you guys later. Take care.
Everybody.
Take it easy.
Absolutely awesome, man. Every week, I always tell myself, like, I've never been more bullish on Agent Hustle, and then talking to Chris and seeing what these guys are building every week, man, I get more and more bullish on it. So I got to find some more money somewhere, so I can put some more money in the hustle. 3 projects, 1 token, very, very bullish on what they're building. But that's our show today, guys. 460 people on YouTube, X, and Twitch, not to mention everyone else on Kick, Abstract, Rumble, and Spotify later. Appreciate every single one of you guys.
Absolutely. Without you guys, we could not do this. We're so grateful and appreciative of you guys watching, listening, and supporting us. So we want to say thank you for that. But also, we're thankful for our partners as well, as they allow us to do this Monday through Friday as well. And if you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate it. Sats Terminal is the DEX aggregator swap for the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. If you are looking to swap for Bitcoin runes, alkanes, or very, very soon, Spark tokens, you can do so at satsterminal.com. It is an aggregator, so it's going to get the cheapest price for these tokens for you guys, especially when Spark launches, because there's going to be multiple launch pads, right? So you want a one-stop shop, and Sats Terminal is that for you. Also, they have a new beta launch Bitcoin borrowing product. You guys should test it out. It's at satsterminal.com. It's there at the second link. You can earn off of your Bitcoin. So make sure you guys are looking into that. They aggregate from Morpho and Aave as well. So definitely have all the connections there. And if you swap on the DEX, you're going to earn Amber points, and Amber points go towards a point system of give back to early adopters. So take advantage of your Amber points. Make sure you earn those, because those are going to be very important. I have a big feeling about that. Head over to satsterminal.com to learn more today. And then Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer of the Bitcoin ecosystem. You can actually jump your Bitcoin ordinals or Bitcoin NFTs like Rare Pepes, counterparty NFTs to Ethereum. You can take a loan out against your Taproot Wizards right now, as the Gandhi application on Ethereum has allowed that collection to be borrowed against, right? So you want to take advantage of that. Also, they're going to be opening up to other EVM chains as well. So pay attention, and possibly a Bitcoin layer 2 like MerlinChain. But Solana is definitely on that roadmap as well. And speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product in the Solana ecosystem called agenthustle.ai. If you head over to Agent Hustle, you can ask him, hey, find me some really solid plays in the Solana ecosystem. And he'll bring back a couple plays for you and give you reasons why he thinks that these are solid opportunities for you. Also, Agent Hustle has a conditional trading engine built into it. So if you need to take some conditional buy or sell trades, he will do them on your behalf. Example, buy Hustle when it drops 10% and sell it whenever I'm up 100%. And he'll take care of that trade for you on your behalf. Also, they have the Migrate.fun product, which is the third product in their ecosystem. And if you launched a token on Pump Fund or Bonk or another launchpad, and you want to migrate to another launchpad or manage your own LPs, you got to do it through Migrate.fun. They just finished their first cohort just now, or actually there's a couple more left. I think it was the first group of teams in that first cohort, but smooth process so far. Reach out to the team and ask them, what the process is like, or rewatch this episode. Chris basically broke it down. Very simple. They do a white glove service for you guys. They basically walk you through it. And they're going to start their second cohorts very, very soon. So you want to be involved with that. If that's something you're interested in, head over to migrate.fun to learn more today. And then also their Hustle token is the single token that powers their entire ecosystem. If you head over to emblem.vision, you can learn all about their products there. And then Artura.finance is the perps and leverage DEX of the Bitcoin ecosystem. They have a USDC competition right now for the top P&L traders. The first place gets 5,000 USDC, and then a second, third, and I think fourth and fifth actually get split up the rest of the 5,000 USDC there. So it's a $10,000 prize pool, and 20,000 ARA tokens are split amongst the winners as well. If you trade on their application, you will actually get tracked on your transactions with the Botanic side, and Botanics is the Bitcoin layer 2 called the Spider Chain that is going to be doing an early give back to early adopters as well. So make sure you are over there taking advantage of that, right? And then also they're going to have new pairs being added to their platform as well. But make sure you join the Tuesday show called The Trader's Edge at 2 p.m. Eastern. We co-host that show with the team. Head over to Artura.finance today. And then Tokyo Wallet is the multi-chain smart wallet that is built for the best UI and UX for all their users. They support Bitcoin, Cardano, and Sui tokens right now. They partner with Sats Terminal to make it possible for you guys to swap for Bitcoin runes directly in their wallet, as well as 2 other DEX aggregator swaps to make it possible for you guys to swap for Cardano and Sui tokens as well. Head over to the Apple App Store if you have an iPhone, or the Google Play Store if you have an Android. Download the application. Let us know what you think, and we will pass it on to the team. Also, there's a little alpha section there where you'll find our YouTube channel as well as other YouTubers there. Head over to Tokyo.io to learn more. And then MerlinChain is uniting Bitcoin's strength through the power of AI. They have their AI product called the Wizard version 2.0. You can actually trade cross-chain with the Wizard as long as you have some Merlin Bitcoin in your wallet. You can trade for Solana tokens or BNB tokens as well, and then also get basic information about tokens on those in those other environments. Also, if you want to participate in their proof of stake security model, you can actually do it in 3 ways. The first one is to stake Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. On average, you're going to be getting about 16-17% APR. I believe a new staking vault for that's going to open soon. And then 2 other options, but they're MerlinChain token options. The first one is the flexible day-to-day. You earn 15% APR. You can actually claim those rewards daily and compound interest strategy those as well. And then it does take 7 days to withdraw on the day-to-day. And then there is the 6-month bonded option, which you earn 45% APR on that. And you can claim those rewards daily as well. So head over to MerlinChain.io to learn more. And we thank you guys so much for checking out our partners. It means a ton to us. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Great job, man. As always, you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out OnChainRevolution.io. It's some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. Really feel like it can get started and code up to where we are today. Brand new article just dropped. Which protocols will dominate the Bitcoin ecosystem in Q4 2026, Q4 2025, and 2026? Which definitely check this out, guys. Aster, we got last week's article. Aster, Hyperliquid. These are like 3-4 minute reads. You guys can jump in here, figure out what's going on, learn exactly what you need to do to be involved in these ecosystems, and 100% there for sure. And if you guys need a VPN, I highly recommend a VPN. I use Nord every single day. You can protect up to 10 devices with this one deal. Get 77% off Nord's VPN, 2-year plan plus 3 extra months. You pay $3 a month. So you basically lock it in for 2 years. You actually get 27 months of time with this. So you lock it in for 27 months and just set it, forget it, be done with it, pay the $66 or whatever it is, and just be done with it. Now it allows you to use stuff like Hyperliquid. This allows you to do stuff like MEXC, and anything you want to use, you pretty much have access to, because it's not your country that is blocking you. It's actually these websites, and they're doing it for their own security purposes. But we're getting to a point now where that's kind of going out the window. So having a VPN kind of gets you onboarded to anything you want to be onboarded to. So you definitely want to check that out if you're interested in that. And on top of that, if you are interested in merch, we have some of the best merch in all of crypto: hats, shirts, jackets, hats, and so much more. You can really get or a lot of ordinal stuff here. We also have amazing hoodies. So if you're interested in hoodie season, we do have some really cool hoodies to choose from here, from Trench Kitty to Bitcoin, Ethereum, even Solana. Check them all out here at OnChainRevolution.io. Remember, guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys, and until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough. No, you're not bullish enough. No. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and arching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction.